It is a roll call for the official Tom and Dan watering holes, starting with the newest member of the watering hole program, Breeze Whiskey Bar and Lounge in Kissimmee. Dare I say, one of the most beautiful bars I've seen.
Yeah.
This would be an excellent date night, and I need to get on down there and check it out.
Yeah, if you live around Kissimmee, go check out Breeze. Put it on social media. Let us know. Send us an email. Tell us you went by Breeze. And we'll send you a gift.
And if you want more information, obviously, all bars can be found at tomanddanwateringholes.com. So go there, click through. If you click on the Breeze picture, it'll take you right to their Facebook page.
Yep, we got Will's Pub, Little Indies, and Dirty Laundry.
There are some massive shows rolling through there. I talked to Will middle of the week, and man, oh man, you better start snatching tickets because for whatever reason, his booking, he's getting bands that should be in bigger venues, and they're not. They're at Will's.
Yeah.
So buy your tickets now because all of these bands are selling out.
Yep, Hourglass Brewing in Longwood, also their tap room in Orlando.
Oh, Strung Out's going to be at Will's Pub, too. So,
awesome.
I might go to that.
Cafe Da Vinci in DeLand.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of awesome acts coming through DeLand, if you live anywhere around DeLand, you got to check out Cafe Da Vinci.
Yeah, you head on down there, you go to Cafe Da Vinci, you stroll around downtown DeLand. It's so beautiful, and you will make friends and have the best time. And they have killer sound at the tiny little venue. So amazing, right there in the heart of DeLand, Florida.
The Dennis family favorite restaurant is the Current Seafood Counter.
Twice a week, Daddy.
In College Park. I see you there all the time.
And you know why I'm there twice a week? Because it does not break the bank. It is a value for seafood. My kid, I load her up with peel and eat shrimp. They got all the Florida beers, or actually their main beers, I should say. It's more like Northeast casual style food.
Yep.
And what do you want, man? You want the grilled, you want a grilled
grouper, mahi, black and mahi sandwich.
I like the black and mahi.
Lobster rolls.
Fried grouper. He does a fried grouper that's phenomenal.
Ailstone Brewing, that's in Longwood as well.
Yep.
They got 50% off their in-house homemade pizzas.
Yeah, man.
They do Monday through Thursday, so check that out. Also delicious beers.
Yeah, really, really good beers. And of course, the Sanford trifecta of West End, Celery City Craft, and Tuffy's Bottle Shop and Lounge.
Yep.
Those are all our buddies who work with those guys. Tuffy's is a great venue, too. They have the music box so you can pop in there. They also have a tiki bar inside, but you got to have reservations.
If you're over on the coast, check out Salty Sisters. That's Tiffany's Bar and Restaurant.
Yeah, man.
Lots of great curated watering holes for you guys to check out. You can check them out at tomanddanwateringholes.com. Welcome to A Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan.
It's BDM Appreciation Week. So all the BDM pre-orders, the $5 BDM shirts, they went out on Saturday,
Yes.
Eric told me. So people should be getting them this week.
Yes.
Probably some today.
Yeah, man.
And
it's a beautiful shirt.
And we
thank you all for participating.
Yeah.
It makes us happy when you use, the things that we set up and participate in BDM Appreciation Week.
And we'll be making some other announcements on the BDM show today. But there is a BDM Appreciation Week party at the end of this week on Saturday. And we're going to send out one last email of all the details today. So if you just signed up to become a BDM, you'll get an email today giving you the details of the party. But it's on the BDM page. You could email us and ask us the details. And as long as you're a BDM, you get to go, you and a guest, for free.
We're running that loose, too. TomandDan.com/registration. Sign up to be a BDM.
Yeah.
The shows are very behind the scenes, especially recently. I mean, we basically save all of our business and all of the decision-making that we want to do. We save it for those shows so we can include you and kind of help you help us steer the boat.
Yeah,
you said something. I'm very glad you started saying emails. You didn't say something that you and I have a habit of saying, and I'm glad. I'm just here to say we'll never say it again.
Okay.
I don't want to say email blast ever again.
Yeah.
I don't like the phrase email blast. It sounds dumb.
It also sounds like a number 4.
It sounds like a number 4. It sounds like a number 4. It's like email blast.
I'm blasting your face.
I'm blasting it. Here. You want the details? Come over here. Oh, yeah. Dropping blast. That's what it sounds like, dropping blast. So I'm glad you didn't say that.
I'll say it again.
I know you will.
Sometime soon.
I know you will.
I love a good
You'll probably
blast.
say it when Aloha Productions is in here.
I like
when we have the. You'll be like, "Oh, hi! I'm so glad our Polynesian dancers are here. Did you get the blast? What is that?"
I do like a good text blast. I'll take it in text.
You'll take a text blast?
Yeah, email seems like old school.
I'm anti-all blasts.
because you never even get the email, like the text blast you hear and you're like, you get it right away as soon as we send it.
Too many text blasts.
The email, like who has a notification for emails?
It gets scattered into my trash.
Yeah.
Email now to me might as well be any flyer. Any email is like emails to me are now flyers. I'm sorry. I admit that to everybody. We're going to talk movies in a second, but I have to get this off my chest. If you send me an email, your urgency level must be a 0. If you send me an email. Yeah, but if you call me, then I know S is going down. If you text me,
no one calls.
You did this morning. Because S is going down.
Well, it's a security breach.
We've had a rough Monday. We've had a rough Monday.
I forgot to even talk about that.
I had to break into the studio. We're going to talk about it on the BDM show. I've broken into the studio more times. I always break into the studio.
You're the only one who breaks in, and we don't even need a security. It's just the owner breaking into his own studio, and then me, the other owner, getting calls from the security place.
He freaks out.
And then I'm like, who's even paying for this?
Here's something that's weird.
Who's monitoring this?
Here's something that's crazy. Did you know, fun fact, and then we'll get to our guest. Did you know that every time you have called me after we've had a security breach at the studio, I've been pooping? Every time. 5 times. 4 times? 4 times. 4 times. And then, because apparently my anxiety gets high and I freak out. And then I got to run to the bathroom and take a J-Rob. What is in that J-Rob protein powder?
It was magnesium.
I thought magnesium was good for you. It's supposed to stop you from shaking, right?
Yeah. But it also cleans you right out.
All my friends, they get like, they're like, oh, I'm not an alcoholic, but then they'll stop drinking, they'll start shaking like crazy. They're like, you need magnesium. I'm like, no, I think you're an alcoholic.
You need alcohol. That'll stop you from shaking.
Okay, hey, everybody on the couch with us to talk film. I was going to say music, but let's say film, music, and movies.
Let me just switch it to music.
Yeah.
Switch it on me.
It's our good friend from the Cinema Crespediso podcast. It is our good friend, Chris Crespo.
Hey, what up, guys?
How you doing, Chris?
Doing well, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Sounds like a rough morning.
Yeah, we had a couple things happen here and there.
Yeah.
But,
it was
typical.
It was spicy.
Typical T&D.
Run it loose.
Our security monitoring system is calling us, and we don't even know who pays it.
Yeah, we don't know
or who they are.
There's no password.
We don't know the password.
There's no way in. There's no way out.
Daniel begs them.
But it didn't shut off, though.
Okay, we'll talk about the medium show.
I was begging some big black mama on the phone. I'm begging her, please don't call the cops. This is like the 3rd time. You always send the cops. Please stop.
And then she's like, I'm sending the cops.
She's like, I'm sending the cops, baby.
That's what the robber would say.
I'm not
Please
using my job for you, little ass. I'm not using my job.
And by the way, no one believes that this company has been monitoring our security for 8 years, and we have not paid anybody.
Nothing.
We don't even know who set it up.
I don't even know. I don't know.
We can't remember.
Wow.
Anyway,
I just know that you always kick the cameras. He kicks the cameras when he's here late masturbating. He'll kick the plugs on, and then I'll get an alert. I'm like, oh, I see what he's doing. His calves went stiff because he was watching some new videos.
Come on. Oh, you can't say that. All right. How you doing, Chris?
I'm doing all right, hanging in there.
So let's talk about the Florida Film Festival.
Yes, absolutely. Just started this past weekend. It's their 33rd annual film festival. That's pretty wild.
I had a movie in the Florida Film Festival, Smoking Ninja.
No, yeah,
premiered at the Florida Film Festival probably 20 years ago or so.
We also had
your documentary.
Documentary.
Yeah. Well, that's not. I'm talking about me. Sorry, I got good sleep.
You know what's funny? I forgot that we put our documentary in the Florida Film Festival.
Well, it was kind of loose because it's like anything I've ever done with the Florida Film Festival, they'll allow like my movie or like our documentary into it, but they're always like, that's not like 100% like real, right?
Wow.
They always give you
we're letting you in so you talk about it and promote us.
Yeah.
But in any other circumstance,
exactly.
This wouldn't be in there.
It's a dinner for schmuck scenario. It's like they're like, oh yeah, we know you have a lot of people listening to you, but you're not an artist like everybody else that does this. That is what it feels like.
All the other movies are actual art. This is some nonsense.
This is basically one notch better than having a beer with Mike.
Hey, I loved having a beer with Mike.
Is this the alarm company? Why are you in charge of the Florida Film Festival?
Do you know who liked having a beer with Mike more than you?
Who?
Mike.
Oh, hell yeah.
He's still living it every day.
Is he still doing it?
Oh, he's got the... No, he'll smoke a cigar at his favorite beachside bar and then throw up a loose, grainy video from YouTube of Dick Simmons, one of his characters, who was a little person running wild in a Walmart.
Oh my goodness,
fantastic!
And then isn't he lean one way politically, and then works that in?
He's a true blood patriot like me, just like me and Crespo here.
Yeah.
So the Florida Film Festival, how long does it go on for?
It's over a week. It started technically last Friday, really in full on Saturday, and then it'll run through next Sunday. So it's like a 10-day festival with multiple movies playing at 2 screens at the Regal at Winter Park and then at the Enzian all week long. So they have 3 screens rolling at the same time.
And so people could just show up to watch any of these films?
You can. They have tables set up outside to buy passes. You can buy a single ticket, like your regular movie, or you can buy a pass that gets you into multiple movies. They have different levels of passes that have different benefits and stuff like that. I get in with a press pass, so thank you for letting me talk about it on the radio so I can earn that press pass again for another year.
All right.
They never check.
Hey, anytime you want that, I tell all of my friends, if you want to say, and this goes for listeners too, if you want to lie to the real media, I use an air quote, if you want to lie to real media and then use T&D media.
Not my media.
And if you want to get a press pass for anything, just email me and I'll let you do it. I don't care.
That's true. I mean, I got a press pass for Big Tim Murphy once for the cake convention.
Yeah.
And I just said, oh yeah, PFT Media. I was like, yeah, sure, how many passes do you need? They were just giving those things away.
You just got a note. Are you getting divorced? Your wife just walked in and served you papers. I've seen the other guy that did that. That does not go that does not end well. Your wife comes in and serves you papers? What is happening? Hold on, let me turn on the other microphone here. Hold on, I gotta find. Okay, there we go.
Big announcement.
Okay.
No, I just.
Oh no, it's like shooting right onto your legs. Okay, there we go. All right.
Let me suck my stomach.
No, you look great.
I'm not prepared for the camera here. What show is this?
This is
ACT.
I handed him the note because the other day I bought tickets to a movie called Tuesday that I thought it was Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what it was. I just know that I like her, and I thought, well, let me just go see it or whatever. So then we're in the car driving, and I played the trailer for it, and it is.
Then you should see the trailer.
It is really weird.
Because this is what happens.
But you've told me, and I don't want to get you in trouble. But you've told me, and you pontificated about how your wife always drags you to crazy movies that are weirdo. You'll sit there for 2 hours and not know anything that's happening.
It's like Melancholia or nothing.
I love Melancholia. It is literally one of my favorite movies.
What was the other one? The one
is real.
The universe one. With,
Brad Pitt.
The Tree of Life.
Tree of Life. Yeah.
That was weird. Everybody laughed at the end of that one, to be honest.
What was the other one you watched?
The Whale. I was. We were in the Indian watching The Whale. I'm eating a Cuban sandwich.
There's nothing more whale than that. That's the whalest thing you
You shouldn't eat during the whale.
I don't know.
Well, he was eating.
You ate a Cuban sandwich during the whale. You didn't tell me that. You lied to me. That's the funniest thing you've ever done. I support that. I would have gone with you and eat a Cuban sandwich during the whale.
Didn't bother me at all.
Wow. Powered right through it.
I ate it. Mad at the whale. Mad at
mad at all the real whales around you.
So anyway, Crystal did show me.
Oh my God.
And this is what happens. We're driving and Crystal's like, this happened with even.
I bought more tickets for a weirdo movie.
I was like, I bought tickets to this movie. Do you want to go with me, or maybe I could take my mom? And so I'm like, here's the trailer. I pulled it up, and then we're both kind of watching it together. And there's Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She's got an ill child. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden,
it's always sad, super sad. Like, all right.
So she has an ill child.
Yeah, she's terminally ill. It looks like. I don't know the
that
whole
sounds
details,
fun.
But
Sounds like Barbie Part 2.
Another Cuban woman.
You have to look at and pick the pickles off. And pick the pickles off where they're talking about the sick kid.
So then all of a sudden, this macaw, like a huge red macaw, shows up, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll take. Immediately, I think I'll take my mom because she has birds.
It's a weirdo bird movie.
Well, the bird starts talking, and he's like this. And it's weird. It's like...
Play the trailer. It's hilarious. The bird starts devil talking.
What's the thing in Atreyu and Artax? What's the
Never-ending story?
The nothing.
Oh, the nothing, yeah.
I felt like this bird was the nothing.
Oh,
or it was like...
All right, here's the trailer.
Okay, watch this.
I'm sure it's very good.
By the way, Crystal's like, we're gonna go see this.
Do you understand how Tinder?
Hold on, no, that's okay. Oh no, this is it. This is it.
Exactly how Tinder works.
Then you don't understand how flirting works.
Okay, Louis. She's eating breakfast, talking
How
to
do you
her
think you got here?
friend. Is that her kid?
That's her daughter.
That's her daughter.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's an A24 film. No wonder.
She's
Is
bathing.
that her?
They make weird movies.
Oh, she has a disabled child.
Everywhere.
Okay, now there's a
Here's
bird
the
flying.
bird, yeah.
Here he comes.
Giant bird.
Yeah,
Watch
giant
it.
bird.
Listen to him.
You're like, oh, it's gonna be.
Oh, it shrunk.
It got really small. You think the
Okay,
bird is
hold on
going
a
to
second.
provide?
Hold on.
a second.
You gotta hear this bird.
I got to describe what happens. So the bird flies in, and the bird lands next to the terminally ill teenager character,
Oh.
and lands there. And then it looks to its left,
Yep.
it looks to its right, and you can tell that this is a rough ass bird. This bird's seen some things.
bird looks
Yeah,
rough.
his feathers are
Yeah.
not all bright red.
It looks
anymore.
like he came from like South America and he just got out. Like they're shooting at him, and he lands there, and then he shrieks himself into a tiny bird, and then the terminal teenager grabs the bird and hides it in her hands.
Yeah, now
That's what just happened.
Now he's going to speak.
Okay, here he goes.
Now it's big again.
Here we go.
Unique. You made my head silent.
Who are you talking to? Can you please just come out so she can see you?
Madam, you need to say goodbye to your daughter.
All right.
Whoa,
You must say
that looks intense.
I am an all-knowing parent. You must say goodbye to your daughter.
Oh boy.
Now envision.
Is he going to kill the daughter?
Envision me holding half a Cuban.
A middle-aged confused podcaster.
I'm like, can't we-
You must say goodbye to your Cuban.
Can't we just watch Transformers 5? Something,
How about a comedy? What happened to like Hangover? Like a little Hangover action.
So
That's
these
funny.
are the kind of movies at the Florida Film
Those are,
Festival.
yeah, the kind of movies you'll see weird movies. And that's an A24 film, which I just saw. It's not at the film festival, but I just saw Civil War. Have you guys seen the marketing for that one at all?
yeah.
That's an A24. That was a wild movie.
All I see is everybody going, "What kind of American are you?" And I'm like, that's the catchphrase,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Are we gonna have people doing Halloween, like where they're dressed up, but just like they normally dress, asking their friends what kind of Americans they
Maybe,
are?
yeah, what fake blood in their hands or something.
yeah,
Let's talk about Civil War for a second, because Civil War released the basically the premise of Civil War is America goes into a civil war.
Just what
Yeah.
we're doing now, but just the fighting part.
And
Yeah.
then everybody basically the entire country splits off into different factions.
There's like 3 factions. There's like the United States, which is Northeast and D.C. There's the Florida Alliance, which is Florida and a bunch of southern states. They don't specify.
Are we like, are we conservative badasses with alligators?
They do not get into the
Politics.
specifics of the Florida
yeah,
Alliance
but the Florida
at all.
Alliance sounds pretty cool.
It sounds cool, but the only thing they talk about is how South Carolina refused to join that one. That's the only mention. The movie is not exactly what's been marketed.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, not exactly.
So because also Texas and California are also
They're their own alliance. It's
They're
the
their
Western
own-
Forces, they call them.
and then people get mad because they're like, "What? Texas would never go."
I went into the movie thinking the same thing. It makes no sense that those two would join up.
But here's the brilliant part about why probably the director did this is to take the politics out of it.
Yeah.
I think so.
And I think
Keep it a little more sci-fi.
and
think so.
Yeah.
But
Good call.
But it
Yeah.
also hurt. Like I guess the people expected it to be more reality
Man, I wanted
based
to
on
see him get him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like based on right and left,
Like a bunch of
today's
Republicans
stuff.
and Democrats and liberals and conservatives.
And-
It's not. It's really not that.
Yeah. So they split it all up where it kind of doesn't make like Texas and California
honestly,
are.
it could
and the
be
Florida
anything,
They're
right?
just the Western. I'm sorry. What was that?
Well, I was going to say, it just could be anything. I mean, if you're just looking for a premise for people to, like, alienate other people and hate
Yeah.
them, you could just say, like, these people like Slurpees and these people don't. You know, it could be
And
anything.
you can find anything. Yeah,
Sure.
the only political thing they get into the movie is that the president who's in power hasn't granted interviews in like over a year. He's not being seen in public. He disbanded the FBI. They shoot journalists on site in the Capitol at the White House.
Yeah, he got an extra term. Like
he got a third term.
Which is why everybody started rebelling. Like, wait a minute, this is
so he's coded as like authoritarian, fascist, and that does lean one way politically between the two. But it doesn't. In the movie, it doesn't matter at all.
Right.
The movie is just about it's the very end of the war, and the heroes of the film are journalists, war journalists, and they want to go interview and photograph the president, be the first and ostensibly the last people to get a chance to do this before the war ends. So then it's like a road movie for them, traveling 800 miles trying to get to Washington, D.C., but having to deal with all the fallout of the Civil War and, running into different people along the way. And it's very much just, a political commentary, kind of a satire at times about the situation, but you really can't draw a 100% direct parallel between our political climate now and what's represented in the movie. It is like kind of a shifted, almost alternate America that's believable in its way, but we're so far from in real life now that it can't really just sit there and be like, oh, this is where we're going, because it would play out differently for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a good movie though, very, very good movie. Harrowing film. It's an anti-war movie. Hard to make a war movie that says war is bad when at the same time you make the war look cool. Movies like 1917,
Sure.
Apocalypse Now, even Platoon. Right. There's moments where war looks cool.
What a weird balance to try and make the action sequences super exciting, but yeah.
But then at the same time, it's like, I'm saying war is bad. Like, how come this movie's full of heroes doing awesome things? So it's definitely like an anti-war movie, and it's also sneakily a pro-journalism movie, which obviously journalists have come under a lot of attack over recent years with, everything going on in the world.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. But it was really, really, really good. I really enjoyed that.
I'm glad you liked it. I actually was only going to wait till I heard it from you because of everything that I had a feeling that you would come in and say that parts of it have been misrepresented. Or
sure. I mean, they're marketing in a way to get people to come out, and it's working because, like I said, it's an A24 film. They make smaller indie films. I think their highest grossing film might have been Everything Everywhere All at Once, which just made a little over $60 million. And this one,
that's already 28 Days Later, right? Is that part, or is that the director?
No, that's 28 Days. That's the writer of 28 Days Later is the writer and director of this movie. Okay. Yeah, Alex Garland, who's a very, very good English filmmaker. He also made that Dread movie from like 10 years ago. Obviously not the Sylvester Stallone one, but the one from like the Keith Urban? Carl Urban. I always mix that up.
It'd be a different movie with Keith.
It'll be slightly different. Maybe Nicole Kidman would get a cameo then.
I'm gonna play my guitar.
Yeah, the Judge Dredd is the Dredd movie is awesome. He has a good show with Nick Offerman called Devs. That's on Hulu. That's a really cool sci-fi show, which just makes sense that he got Nick Offerman to play the president for the Civil War movie.
Offerman has Gandolfini'd me. I can't. I can't.
You can't? What do you mean?
Offerman is Gandolfini. I can't
separate his character.
Yeah, I'm like, you're Ron Swanson forever, and you can play nothing else. I'm sorry. Those shows were so powerful, and I think it was my age.
Sure.
It had something to do with when they hit me.
When Jim from The Office tried to be a Navy SEAL. I'm like, can't do it, Jim.
No. You grew a beard? No, won't buy it.
I was like, your haircut. You have that floppy broccoli haircut. Cut your hair.
He has the hair of a child.
My God.
Hoffman also has that iconic voice. That's such a Ron Swanson voice. And then when the president in this movie starts talking, it's like, oh, President Swanson. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I can't do it without him. Like, I'll break. I'll even start laughing when he's being serious. But he's a wonderful actor.
He is very
Now,
good.
you know where I didn't do it? Is when he played the gay guy
This is The Last of Us.
Yeah. That was phenomenal.
Episode 3 of The Last of Us.
Yeah. I mean, he's a hell of an actor, but I always see Ron Swanson. Always.
Sure.
Always.
Like, oh, Ron Swanson has a gay love life. Isn't that sweet? Yeah.
I enjoyed it. I
Becomes
like
a weird
gay
extra
Ron.
thing. Gay Ron.
Because he's also does all the stuff real Ron does.
Yeah.
He knows all things, and he's also gay. And it's like, all right.
Yeah, he's more manly than Ron. He takes that next step.
Yeah, he does.
You're the ultimate man.
We've said this for years.
Takes another man.
Exactly.
Or gives it to him, whatever.
The most manly thing
man on man.
The most manly thing another man can do is $69.99. I've said I'll die on that hill. I'll die on the hill. I'll die trying to 69. I'll die.
So, you saw a documentary
I
as
did.
well, right?
I saw one last night at the film fest, and it's playing again, I think, on Thursday or Friday, if anyone hears this and they're interested. It's called Secret Mall Apartment. And it's...
So this is what I've always wanted.
Oh, man, this is incredible. And it is only like the third time this movie has screened. It just debuted a few weeks ago, I think, at South by Southwest. So it's pretty cool that the Florida Film Fest got this one
Cool
early
that
in its
you
run.
got to see it, man. That's awesome.
It's very cool. So it's about 1999 in Providence, Rhode Island. The local economy has gone to crap, so they decided to build a gigantic mall, like a Mall of America style, huge mall in Providence, Rhode Island, to redevelop the economy of the area. And there's some gentrification, and they knocked down some old buildings where a bunch of artists were living and commuting. So all those artists were mad and bitter at the mall. And one of them figured out that when they were constructing the mall, that they thought, looking at the construction of the buildings, like the girders, they're like, there's a part of this mall that looks like it's an empty space. What could possibly be in this empty space? So after the mall was made, they went exploring. They went through the back rooms and some like crevices, and they found, if you went up these stairs, an empty, unused, like 700 square foot space in the back rooms of the mall, like on the third floor. And over the course of the next 4 years, from 2003 to 2007, they moved in furniture, sofas, PlayStation, and like 8 different artists were using it as a place to hang out, to crash, to work on all their future art projects.
And no one knew.
No one knew for four full years. They were
This is a dream
practically
of mine.
living in this
I've
mall.
always wanted to
How
live
did
in
they
somebody
get-
else's house and never be detected.
Yeah, they were frogging. They were frogging in this mall. It was
Dude,
awesome.
I am obsessed with that feeling of I'm living in your home, you don't know I'm there, and
Yeah.
at night I creep out and I steal your food and then I go back and live.
Yeah, I'm in your walls.
Yeah, oh, I'd love to do that.
Would they leave during the day or they stay there at night?
Sometimes they would stay there. They weren't living there permanently. Like one guy said, the most nights he stayed in a row were 4 or 5. During the winter, it was really cold, so they have to have sleeping bags. During the summer, it got really hot. They had no air conditioning there. It's like a little concrete space in a back room. It's like you have to go behind into the parking garages and down this hallway, then up these stairs, and they found this really steep ladder that almost went to nowhere. When you climb up there, it was just this weird 700-foot ledge. They built a wall with they snuck in cinder blocks and built a wall with a door with the lock so they could have their own locking door. It's an incredible documentary, and they filmed everything. They had a little really crappy digital camera from 2003, and this, because he's an artist, he knew that this would be pretty cool.
Yeah,
and they filmed a lot of stuff. So we have really grainy, crappy, but interesting footage of them actually doing all this stuff.
That's pretty cool.
It was very cool.
And, like, I wonder, and I'm sure it goes through, I don't want to spoil anything, but if you're there in, like, the mall after hours and you're hiding there, after they close, you're breaking and entering, right?
Yeah.
You're saying, like, if you hide in a
I don't
store
know.
and then
Why
until
would
they
I know that?
Well, I'm saying that would
Well,
probably
like,
be the law, right?
yeah,
I think I would plead ignorance and say no. I mean, like, I just got confused and, you locked me in here for 4 years.
I mean, because essentially you're in a place you
I've
shouldn't
wanted
be.
this, dude, forever. Like, even when I was telling the story about the church that my mom played organ in, and they were like repurposing it for apartments. It's gonna be really, really nice.
Yeah.
Like, there were places in that church because it was humongous that like no one would go to, and those were like my secret little, like, I don't know. That's man. I want a secret.
A little
place.
secret space. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very exciting movie to watch them find it, to build it out, sneak it. When they went to, like, we're going to find a sofa for this place. I'm like, how are they even going to get the sofa up there? And then they show them, they set a camera down, they show them very dangerously lugging huge pieces of furniture up these vertical steel stairs. I mean, it's practically a ladder. It's a fascinating, well-made, super cool
It's cool that they did that, though. And that's crazy. Is there a concrete ending to it?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
that has an ending. It catches up with the people. Because, I mean, again, this is from 2003 to 2007, 2008. So it catches up with everyone now and interviews them. So you got to see these people when they're like in their early 20s and then being interviewed. Now they're all in their 40s and stuff. And it's like, oh, the ravages of time get us all.
So I had a theory, speaking of this, where, like now you see these amazing documentaries being made, and it's because a lot of times someone took the initiative to document everything they were doing. Like you see it with like cult documentaries and stuff. Like usually it's the cult themselves like hires one of the people to document everything, and then
provide their own evidence,
and then all of a sudden they have all this footage from 8 years,
stuff they don't even want,
and then
really intimate weirdo stuff,
and then some filmmaker gets a hold of it some way, and then they're able to take all this footage and put together a really good documentary. You've seen it like even Steve-O had like meticulously documented all his whole time of his whole career, and then he can go back and now have all this extra footage. That's why he uses a lot of the social media.
I mean, in a weird way. I mean, not as much as you should, but you have a decent amount.
So, but it was more rare, 20 years ago for, you're carrying around an actual camera and stuff. Like now, I'm thinking like in like 10 years from now, are there going to be a lot of really good documentaries because everybody has a cell phone camera in their pocket?
It still takes, like you said, a person's wherewithal to be like, I want to film all this. I want to save all this data as well.
It's a mentality,
saving the data for like 10 years is also a big thing. And then it's one thing if I have video cameras and I just have tapes. I can throw those tapes in a box and I'm good. But if I'm saving data, where am I saving that data? In a cloud?
Yeah,
like,
I don't think it matters so much. I'll tell you what. I think that our relationship,
you delete it or whatever.
Our relationship is different. With the videos on my phone, they are meaningless to me.
Yeah,
like really. Like I have so many just little blips and blurps, and I don't treat them like they're
do
precious.
Anything with them.
I mean, if they are, I'll take them and put them in like a Dropbox or something.
And with a camera, it seems like you are more willy-nilly with what you're filming because it's going on a tape and then you're storing the tape.
Yeah.
With your phone and stuff, like I feel like a lot of times people go back and erase stuff to get rid of data.
It's out of my memory. Come on. My phone's barely working these days. Delete. Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're paying for a cloud or something. So you're right. Maybe it's less documentaries that will, or it's just the person's mentality. If they're like, it seems like it takes a particular type of personality to document and be obsessed with documenting what's going on.
Yeah,
like the president, like Lyndon B. Johnson. He would record every phone call. Now we have some of that. I don't know if we have all of it, right? I mean, like he did record almost. I mean, we got the wonderful Hagar Slacks phone calls where he's talking about it cuts him in his bunghole. But other than that, I'm not sure if we had tons of it.
Guy Torrey, remember we were talking to him? Like he kept all his data. That's why he does the Fat Tuesday documentary. He had so much footage. And he said he has storage units full of old footage and stuff.
I wonder if that also takes a certain bit of ego too to be like, well, I'm doing something that's worthy of documenting and keeping, and maybe I can do something with this in the future, like a Val Kilmer level of ego, where he's like, oh well, I'm Val Kilmer. Even when he was like 20, he's filming a ton of stuff, and then they have that Val documentary a few years ago that's like all stuff that he shot, and he kept everything. That's crazy. He's like, yeah, people want to see my time behind the scenes on Top Secret or something.
Right?
Yeah, I think it is a little strange.
Like it's a weird relationship to have.
Yeah.
I'm envious of people that have enough confidence in themselves to think
for sure
that they're like, oh no, I'm saving this for you because you like me,
and you're going to want to see this. You're going to want to see.
My God,
be prepping for Top Gun.
I can't be that guy.
Or it could just be I started this and I'm going to continue to do it a day. Daniel's like this, where if he like puts together a string of like,
I like strings,
using his Peloton or putting up videos.
Fair, yeah.
Or sure. I'm like, you used to do it even the beginning of like Justin TV and stuff,
or just blogging.
Blogging.
I do it every single day.
So if you have that personality and you're filming yourself every day and you just keep doing that and saving it just because you did it the day before, then all of a sudden it could be a great documentary one day because you just have this unbelievable amount of footage of someone or whatever.
But then at that point you're going to want to bring in someone else to go through the footage because now you're sitting too close to it. It's like, well, this is all great. I'll make a 20-hour film. People want to see this. We got to cut this down to 90 minutes. I saw this one. Speaking of Florida Film Festival, one of the first fests I covered, like over 10 years ago, there's a movie called A Matter of Taste, and it's a cooking documentary, and it's about this one guy. I think his name is Paul LeBrant, and I saw it in 2011, 2012. The movie starts in 1999 because the documentary filmmaker hooked up with this cook and just started filming him, and then filmed him for 10 years before doing anything with the footage, before feeling like she had a beginning, middle, and end that she could put together. And then it makes for a super satisfying movie because he covers this huge span of this guy's professional life, his personal life, and it's him working in New York City and trying to get Michelin stars and kind of flaming out of the business and getting back in at the end. It's a very, very well-made movie. And by the end, it's almost shocking to see like 10, 12 years of footage in this 90 minutes of film. Like just the ability to film all this stuff and to keep it and to organize it and then to put it together later is truly incredible. That's a real skill in itself right there.
Wasn't there another movie where it showed like a person's life over a span of an insane... Boyhood? May have been Boy,
yeah, that's a Richard Linklater movie where it's a narrative film, but he filmed with the same actors over the course of like 15, 20 years, like once every 5 or 6 years. So then the movie time jumps and it's the same actors, but they get much older. So yeah, he started making a movie in like 2003 and put it out in 2018
something like that. You
think
you're better than me because you can film the same kid.
I know, right?
Every year you go and you do that. You think you're better than me because you do that?
Just because you
go
maintain...
and you check in with a kid. That's what I think of. That's the way I react as a viewer. I'm like, look at you with in interviewing that kid every year. Like
maintaining relationships. Good for
like
you.
You think you're better than all of us. Get out of here.
But it's also like 20 years of this project. And
I'm not even interested in it anymore. But what if the kid dies like the second year?
That's a risk.
All the way.
Yeah,
that's a risk. Yeah.
But then once you release it, you're
Stupid
like,
kid.
man, I've been doing this for 20 years and now it's over.
And it made $6.5 million at the box office. Like barely people will remember it. You know.
Yeah.
There's another series called.
And then some dumb podcasters making fun of it on a show that doesn't even matter.
Yeah, someone cut this out and sent it to Richard Linklater. There's another series of movies. I think they're British films called the 7 Up series, and I think they might be made for BBC and then just released theatrically later. BBC. But there's these movies where they interview these kids, and they're all like 7 years old, and they interview like maybe, I don't know, 10 kids, and they talk about them, what they want to do, and then they caught up with them 7 years later when they were 14, caught up again later when they're 21, and they keep making a documentary every 7 years, catch up with these people. They're up to like... They're all like 64 now. They're all like in their 50s and 60s, and they're still making the 7 Up series. It's a fascinating series to watch from beginning to end. It started in the 70s, and they're still making them, and it's the same people, and it's a real like testament to life and like how fast it can go and how much it can change for everyone. It's one of those things where depending on your mindset, it could be life affirming or it could be devastating. You know, depending.
Most things are devastating for me. I mean, at least I digest them initially.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
In a devastating way,
and then work through it later with the therapist.
Yeah, I have to work through everything later.
So, is there any mainstream movies that are coming out that you're excited about?
Sure. Yeah, there's the summer movie season starts up here in May. Pretty much, right? So, The Fall Guy is the first weekend of May. That's the Ryan Gosling, Emily Blunt romantic action comedy that got really good reviews.
I find her beautiful, but she's so cold looking. Like to me, like she's like very cold.
Did you ever see The Devil Wears Prada?
I did.
That's her. Beautiful but cold. That's like the perfect role for her, which was I think her first movie actually.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, she's a great actress.
No, she is like super good. But like
I like that. I like cold.
It feels like if I went to her house or something, she'd be like I'd be walking around, I'd be like picking up like little knicknacks and novelties.
She'd just be looking at you.
Yeah, and she'd be like, "Put that down."
You want some tea? Sit down.
She'd yell at me.
I like when they yell at me.
I like when they're beautiful.
That's the thing. I don't have any kinks, but you know, like
you
that.
like it blunt.
Yeah.
Give me some blunt.
Cold, and if they're a police officer, that's
ratchets it up right there.
Oh my god!
And then there's some pallets around.
Oh
Anyway,
one tall, one short. I've seen those videos.
Yeah. Leave the belt on. I like that. Anyway,
so there's that one. That's May, and it's actually a loose remake of a TV show.
The Fall Guy with Lee Majors.
Yes, Lee Majors.
My dad and I's favorite show. It had Heather Thomas in it. You want to see a smoke show? Look up Heather Thomas.
Smoke.show.
Do you guys remember Heather Thomas?
What was the premise of this?
The premise of the show is that this guy's a stuntman during the day, but at night he's a bounty hunter, and people hire him to track
look
people
at Heather Thomas on Fall Guy. Look at that. This is my dad and I's favorite. That's her on Fall Guy, Heather Thomas.
All right.
Look at that.
That'll make you a man.
My God.
Or a woman.
And this is her now, dude. This is her now. I mean, she looks fan-frickin-tat.
Wow, yeah.
Her jeans are like, this is her now. Her jeans are just unbelievable. They're unbelievable.
Yeah.
Heather Thomas was in Fall Guy with Lee Majors. My dad and I love the show. He also had a brown Bronco that he would drive around, or a truck.
That's awesome.
And he would jump it over bridges and stuff. Like, it was man, Fall Guy was awesome. We loved Fall Guy.
That's awesome.
And that's what taught me that, like, you're gonna when you get older, you're gonna have a young, hot, blonde assistant at the PI place, and you sexually harass her crazy. and she likes it. And she loves it. She's always walking around the office in a bikini, and then you get in your brown truck and you jump a bridge, and that's how you make your money. And I was like,
that's the life.
Yeah, I was
That
like,
sounds
I'm
awesome.
going to be a fall guy.
That sounds awesome.
Like, that was my favorite show, man. Like, it's so funny we're even talking about this. I've been dying. I knew you were going to come in. I didn't know if you were going to talk about Fall Guy, but that show was amazing, dude. It was
awesome.
so good.
So they're just making a movie.
They're making a movie, and it's a little different. He's still a stuntman, but instead of being a bounty, he's not actually a bounty hunter, but he is being hired to find someone. The lead of the movie disappears, so he's going to look for that person. But it looks like a fun movie.
Is she taking over sort of that Heather Thomas role of the attractive girl? Because
Well, she is the attractive girl. That the relationship is with the Ryan Gosling character for sure. They're
set.
flirty
Yeah,
on set.
They're on set,
but
and then
she's
she asked
a
him to
director.
do like a favor for him.
Yeah,
right? yeah.
To
To find the leading
to find
man.
the guy, to find the dude,
Gotcha. Yeah, I saw
the
the
missing
trailer.
actor. Yeah. It looks like a lot of fun. It looks like an enjoyable movie, and it's from the guy who co-created the John Wick series, and he directed the second Deadpool and Atomic Blonde. I really like this guy's action movies, so it looks like a really fun movie. And also like Ryan Gosling, he's great.
Are there any gigantic, aging, sick parrots?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
I really
AIDS devil parrot.
I'm gonna go see that movie. I look really interested.
What about that, Chris?
I'm going to
Makes you want to see it.
The bird looked interesting. Like,
Really?
what is this
Really?
movie?
You're
I'll
gonna
be
sit
honest.
there and listen. It's hard to even understand what the devil bird says.
Why'd they give it that voice? It's like seems
They
that
should have done Tracy Morgan. Every voice should be Tracy Morgan.
you gotta help me.
Hey, you better get ready. Your daughter gonna die. Yo, you better get ready. She is sick. You better get a 401k.
That'll make it a Netflix movie. Everyone will go see that one. So Fall Guy, that's coming. After that, 2 weeks after that, new Planet of the Apes. They made another one, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This one takes place like 100 years or so after the last one that came out, I don't know, 6-7 years ago.
These are scary because these are when the apes, they walk around and the only difference, they just talk like just like us, right? And they sound super eloquent. They're like, put him in the cage and we will be back in the morning if he's still around.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, they talk like that. They talk like British royalty.
Yeah, they're fully evolved at this point. Humans are fully de-evolved where they can't speak. They're running around like cave people, but yet still movie gorgeous. All of them. They're all beautiful people, but they're also cave people.
They scare me though. The monkeys that are like that.
It's
really terrifying.
I really like these movies.
Wasn't the one named Caesar?
Caesar, that was the lead of the last 3 movies, the lead monkey, and that was Andy Serkis was playing that character. This is a new director. It looks like the same style, but it's a new director and a new a new trilogy essentially, a new story that takes place 100 years.
You know,
later.
I don't really believe it. Because there's no big fat slob monkeys.
There are. They're big old not orangutans. What the big ones?
Baboons?
There's some big old
orangutans.
Yeah, maybe
I
there's
think
an
orangutan.
Other than big fat orangutans.
There's some big old fatties.
Man, I don't think orangutans should count. That's not. I don't think that counts.
It's all big fat monkey.
I'm talking about standard. I'm talking about monkey standard.
Standard fat monkey.
Yeah. I want them like out of shape.
I guess monkeys don't have an obesity problem since they don't have like Twinkies and stuff.
There's no such thing as them getting out of shape.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you're right. Anytime they depict cavemen or in like medieval times, like someone that's over the age of 40, I'm like, their teeth would be rotten
They
yellow.
should be dead.
Yeah, this happens in Game of Thrones. And I'm like, Stannis Baratheon's teeth would be brown, black, rotten.
Not enough bad teeth in that.
No, they had veneers in Westeros for sure.
Also, I didn't realize this until I started reading the book because I got through the first book. But old Tyrion was supposed to have no nose. He wasn't even supposed to have a nose.
Oh, I got cut off, I think, in one of the battles.
In one of the battles, his nose got sliced off. He just had the Michael Jackson hole.
Yeah.
They never did that.
In the show, they changed it. He just gets cut in the face.
Yeah,
and
they didn't do that. And then Dinklage, they're like, he's way too attractive. Because he is. He's a good-looking guy.
He's
They're like, you can't have him running around with a Michael Jackson nose.
Yeah.
Before we go, Chris, I got a bitch about the movie The Covenant.
Okay, Guy Ritchie is The Covenant.
And
I heard this was good.
I saw this on the plane.
It did get good reviews.
Isn't this an action?
Yeah, it's an action, like, special forces type of deal. It's good, but there's one stupid part that I'm mad about. Because I can't separate. If you're showing me, like, a special forces action, and I understand this is based on there's no real event. It's just about interpreters and the war.
Yeah.
And then how much the interpreters help Americans, and then
then they get left behind when the Americans leave.
they get left behind, and then them trying to get them out.
That's
whatever.
a thing that happens, but this movie isn't a specific version of that. Yeah.
And and what's up with Jake Gyllenhaal? He must be on the T or something because he's a lot of special forces, a lot of MMA.
He looks ridiculous.
Have you seen his body? It's ridiculous, dude.
He looks like Tyler Durden. He's crazy looking.
But he seems like he's pigeonholed himself into these specific roles.
It's his phase right now.
Yeah.
So fast forward to the end, and this is a little bit of a spoiler. So if we're going to watch The Covenant, don't listen to this.
2.5-year-old spoiler.
yeah. So essentially, after the interpreter gets him out of and saves his life.
Wait, what?
He has to go back and get the interpreter.
And the interpreter is an orangutan.
And
big fat one.
He can't do it through legal means or whatever. The bureaucracy of it is too much.
Sure.
So he decides to hire a small force that's like paid army,
like mercenaries,
to help him, assist him to get this interpreter out. Right. Mm-hmm. So, but the mercenaries can't wait. So anyway, he mortgages his house and he comes up with like $150,000 or $200,000.
I don't think that's enough.
Okay, so then
that's not a lot of money.
And then, so let's say $200,000. I think it's $150,000 or whatever, because he's supposed to depict it. He has a small mechanic shop, so it's like
he's just a guy.
He's just a guy. So mortgages his house. His wife lets him do it. It's $200,000, and he hires these mercenaries or whatever. And so the mercenaries like, you want the angel of death? And what the angel of death is
that one of the best guys?
No. This is a AC-130 plane. You know, the planes that can hold tanks and stuff like that?
Yeah. They can drop out like carriers.
With the biggest guns you've ever seen mounted on the side with unlimited bullets inside, and they're like 50 cal bullets, but like huge machine guns.
Is this an add-on?
And this is a real plane, by the way.
Is this an add-on where the guy's like going through what he gets to do, and they're like, you want this, you want this?
So, needless to say, of course, when I saw that, and I'm like, angel of death, I'm like, wait, $100,000, and you only paid and you get that and all the whole crew. I'm like, so then, of course, at the end, the angel of death comes, and then it's a huge, gigantic plane.
Yeah, just to fly is a couple mil to just get it in the air.
Just a gas.
Yeah, just a gas.
I looked up how much this plane cost $210 million. That's how much it costs.
Dude, were you looking this up during the movie? You see my problem there? This guy, Crystal's trying to watch the movie. He's getting his Wikipedia on.
He's like, that plane costs too much money.
To fuel this plane and to pay for the ammunition would be far beyond the $200,000.
Yeah.
Just for the fuel and the ammunition, not to mention the other Jeeps and all the stuff.
It was a special code. He used Tom and Deere 20 at checkout.
And I'm mad because someone said we got to work in the angel of death because of
it's too cool. It's too cool.
They'll, all the people, they want to see and everybody's going to be like, no one's going to bother looking up how much this costs or seemingly ridiculous that only $200,000.
Well, it's easy to write it in. Just write in a crazy guy that just is bloodlust and he flies it and he just wants to do it for free.
Yeah. Or write another guy says, hey, I just got an inheritance of $500 million. You want the angel of death?
Well, the mercenaries can't afford the angel of death. They won't have access to that. Our government doesn't allow just regular people to have the angel of death. Yeah. They barely allow countries.
Where are you getting your information from?
I'm just saying, there's the angel of death, the mercenaries have it parked and they're like, fuel it up, put $100,000 of bullets in there. Anyway, ridiculous. I was mad at it. And then at the end, I was like, this ruined it for me.
That's funny.
Well, don't even put it in there because the other stuff, it was like, I even looked it up and see if it was a true story at the end.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to see if this is based on a true story. Of course, no.
No. Look how mad he is.
That interpreter would never, it was 5 days dragging him through the mountains. He's leaving him there. The guy's almost dead anyway. Taliban's right around there. Kill you.
Really
kill your family.
Really made him mad.
I'm sorry I brought it up.
Cinema Crespediso for all your movies and your podcasts about movies. So
Patreon.com/Crespediso for the show. ChrisCresswell.com for other stuff. I got like an interview on there with a documentary filmmaker from this year's Florida Film Festival.
Oh, great.
All sorts of stuff, guys.
Nice, man.
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Dude, we love having you here. Thank you so much for being here. We will take a break and come back right after this.
Welcome back to A Corporate Time.
Now, this is super impressive. We're doing this on the fly. He said my name one time, and I'm freaking out a little bit, but I'm going to try to make it through this. On the line with us right now, and you had the opportunity to see him with special guest Pablo Cruz, who I love as well, Firefall, who I love as well. You can see him April 18th at the Florida Theater in Jacksonville, April 19th at Ruth Eckerd Hall in Clearwater. On the line with us right now, I am sweating, Tom. Don Felder's on the line. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. It's a beautiful, warm, sunny, blue sky California day, and the world is beautiful. I'm on the phone with a great radio station, too.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, you've done so much of this. You've done this for, I mean, I don't even know. I can't even put a number on how long you have been doing media for being one of the greatest guitar players or songwriters or singer-songwriters that we've had the ability to listen to. Is it true, and this is a strange question, did you get your first guitar trading it for firecrackers? Is that true?
Yes, I traded a handful of cherry bombs to the kid across the street who had a guitar on the top of his closet, and my brother and I were blowing off cherry bombs, and he came running over and wanted some. And I said, well, I'll give you a handful of these cherry bombs for that guitar. Because I was dirt poor, living on a dirt road, raised in pretty much right next door to destitute poverty and just outside Gainesville, Florida.
Yeah.
He ran over, got the guitar, came back. I gave him the cherry bombs. 10 minutes later, all those cherry bombs were gone, but I had a guitar.
Yeah, I was driving in my car this morning, and I was, doing research because we knew you were calling in, and I freaked out because, honestly, Don, there's nothing more rock and roll than trading weapons for guitar. You were it's very rock and roll to say, I traded firecrackers for this guitar, and then you went on to, can I say this? Is it correct to say that you wrote, the greatest album of the 20th century? Isn't that a real thing?
Well, I don't know about...
Or greatest selling, I should say. Greatest selling?
I didn't write it. It was the Eagles' first greatest hit that went on to be the biggest selling album of the 20th century. And I was absolutely just knocked off of my feet when I heard that, because I thought about the Rolling Stones and Elvis Presley and the Beatles and all the people that came out back in that previous century, and we had outsold them all. I was just, I was just dumbfounded.
It's incredible. I mean, that's a huge number.
Well, Don, I heard you tell a story about writing Hotel California and how you didn't think it was going to be as big of a hit as it was because of radio play.
Like AM radio. Isn't there a story about somebody wanted it to be the single for AM, and you were against that, right?
Yeah, in the 70s, AM radio would only play songs that were 3 minutes and 30 seconds max. You had them from the needle drop, which everybody used to play records. You had to drop the needle on it. So the singing started couldn't be longer than 30 seconds. The whole thing could be 3 minutes to 30 seconds. It had to be a danceable song or kind of a wet, drippy ballad. Hotel California was none of that. It was 6.5 minutes long. It was a minute before the vocals started. In the middle, it breaks down. You can't really dance to it. And then at the end, there's a 2-minute guitar solo. To me, it was the wrong format for AM radio. I thought it was an FM cut, if anybody knows what FM radio is these days.
Right,
anyway,
I know, right, yeah.
And I have never been so happy to have been so wrong in my entire life.
Yeah. Oh, I bet.
Have you even tried to comprehend how many people have heard Hotel California? Because
or just your music in general. I mean, I don't think there's a personal. Well, I mean, obviously babies, but they don't count. But I mean,
is it hard to wrap your head around that?
Yeah, I guess the first time I really got a view of that was I played a private show for the United Nations in New York City, and there were about 500 heads of states and presidents and representatives from all over the world. All speak different languages. Typically, if you watch the UN, they all wear ear cups with their translating cups. So I go on stage and I play at Hotel California, and everybody in the place is singing along to the whole song. Wow. It didn't matter what language they grew up in, they knew that song, and I was just oh my God, I didn't realize the global reach that song had actually been able to accomplish. It was just mind-blowing to me.
Your friend Bernie Leadon, who also part of the Eagles at the time, I was reading an article that said at one time you guys were, you'd gotten done with heavy touring, you'd gotten done with an amazing record, and you were on the peak. You're literally killing it, and you guys were having a talk, you and Bernie says to you about how he's thinking about taking some time off and like relaxing more, and do you really feel like maybe had everybody taken that time, that you guys could have maybe, made it together like the original guys, longer? Do you think that is something maybe you could have accomplished? And because it was really impactful to me and Tom reading you talking about like meditation, taking time for yourself,
work-life balance.
Yeah, the work-life balance of that is. Yeah, could you go into maybe a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, back at that time, we had really reached a plateau with the record before, which was On the Border, and we were in the middle of making One of These Nights, and we had a tour lined up that we were going right from the studio, right on the road to tour for a year and a half, and it was hard to tour back then. It wasn't all limos and private jets. A lot of it was rent-a-cars and Holiday Inn hotels and that sort of stuff. Bernie was really wise in that he was very health-oriented, health-conscious, and he believed that if we had taken 2 or 3 months and just gone to Hawaii and gotten some sun and stopped living at that pace, we could have recharged and been refreshed when we got back together. But Don and Glenn, they were just determined to push this thing on uphill. We can't stop. We got to keep going. We got to strike while the iron's hot. And literally, Bernie walked out of the studio and went to the airport and got on a plane and went to Hawaii and left us going, what's going on? And he thought, I think at that time, and I love Bernie, we were in a high school band together.
Yeah.
He actually replaced Stephen Stills in this little band that we had.
Was the Continentals? What was that band? Was it the Continentals? Or?
It was originally the Continentals, and then once Bernie joined, we changed it to the Mondi Quintet, which sounded much more English, because it was about 1965 where we did that, right?
That's funny. So, I thought you were going for British.
I think the Rolling Stones have the right idea, and U2, where they go out and work and do a world tour, and then they take 2 or 3 years off and write some new songs and enjoy life and kind of pace themselves. And life, there are people that work to live, and then there are some people that live to work. I love what I do. I love playing music. That's why I do it. I don't need to make another dime for the rest of my life. I just love to go out and play music, make people happy, and see that enthusiasm. I have one of the greatest bands I think I've ever put together. These players are not your typical local sidemen. I have been very, very careful about the people I have in my band, because to go out and play these classic songs, they have to come off at the absolute peak of perfection.
We sound great.
I've got people that have played. I've had people. Let me just run through some of the people that these guys have played with. Some of these musicians have played with Chicago, played with Keith Urban and Carrie Underwood, played with Adam Lambert from Queen, played with Kid Rock and Rascal Flatts and Aerosmith. I mean, it's amazing. Peter Frampton, the list of characters and people in the business that my band musicians have played with, toured with, recorded with. They're really the absolute creme de la creme. When we finish playing our last 4 or 5 songs, everybody's up on their feet dancing and rocking to songs like Take It Easy and Life in the Fast Lane and Heartache Tonight and Hotel, and everybody's got their phone out. We're just having a great party, and that is so much fun for me to be able to do and have everybody enjoy it and appreciate it. That's why I do it, because I love to make people
and you can hear it. Like, you're making me excited about it. You've got such a good demeanor. And, do you still meditate? Do you still take time for yourself?
I try to. It's kind of hard sometimes when you wake up in a hotel and there's traffic going on outside. But I try to get in a meditation somewhere during the day, at least for 15 minutes.
Sure, that's awesome.
Don, I'm curious because with just your bandmates and the people they've played with, and with your career and the people you've known, your neighbors with Slash, and then your daughter's married into the Jenner family.
Yeah.
Could you pick up the phone and get a hold of any celebrity in the world?
I think you could.
Through like 2 or 3 steps, like someone you know knows everybody, correct?
Well, pretty much so. I just, having been in the business for as long as I have, I've done a lot of made a lot of great friends that are also musicians, and I'm very selective about who I have play in my band. I'm also very selective about who I befriend.
Sure.
A friendship has to be a two-way street, in my opinion, or else it's just an acquaintance. So when I pick up the phone and call Peter Frampton, Peter and I went out and did a bunch of shows together. He asked me to induct him into the Musicians Hall of Fame in Nashville, and then the next year they wanted me to be inducted, and they asked me who I wanted to have induct me. I said, I guess I'll call Peter. He owes me one on that. So, it's just, I can pick up the phone and call just about anybody that I have met in the past, and we've had a good time with, and are good friends. Nick Fleetwood. I ran into him in a restaurant like 3 weeks ago, and I hadn't seen him for a few years, and we had a minute to just catch up, and it was just fun to see these people from the 70s, 80s, 90s, and into the new decade here, and be able to have good friends.
Well, we might as well fire off one more. Did it really happen? Did you teach Tom Petty how to play guitar?
Yeah, I used to, for extra money. I didn't actually get paid. Every guitar lesson that I taught there in this little music store, I got a credit of $10. So I was able to use my credit to build up and buy a guitar or trade in an old amp and get a newer amp or something like that. And one day, this kind of blonde-headed, scraggly, buck-toothed, scrawny-looking kid comes walking in, just had to have his shag hair and wanted to take guitar lessons. He was playing bass in a band at the time, and he wanted to be able to play guitar. So I gave him a couple of guitar lessons to start him off, and went over to his house, and the name of his band at that time was the Epics, which was decades ahead of the term epic being cool. And later in the 80s and 90s, epic became the epic word. And so Tom was just a very charismatic guy on stage. He wasn't the greatest singer. He wasn't a guitar shredder, but he really had the self-confidence when he came out on stage, and he just sold you on what he was doing. And that's a great trait for any live performer to have. And we were friends for a long time. As a matter of fact, I remember reading an article in London where he had been interviewed, and I was over there doing something with the Eagles, and he was giving me credit for being his guitar teacher because nobody really knew who Tom Petty was back then, but they knew who the Eagles were. So, and, I showed Tom some stuff. Dwayne Allman taught me how to play slide. We were all in battles of the bands together. And Stephen Stills and I had that band when we were 14. And there was something going on in that Gainesville, Daytona Beach with Leonard Skinner from Jacksonville and the Allman Brothers in Daytona and Tom Petty, me, Stephen Stills, and Bernie Ledden all going to Gainesville High School at the same time. I don't know if there was something in what was in the water that produced so many platinum-selling artists and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees, or if it was in something we were smoking. I don't know. Either way.
I mean, we're Florida guys, too. We are Florida guys, smack dab in Orlando. I'm from DeLand, so I spent all my time in Daytona Beach. And Tom's from Miami. So, hey, Don, thank you so much for the time. Again, April 18th, Florida Theater, Jacksonville. April 19th, Ruth Eckerd Hall in Clearwater. Thank you so much for your time. Have a great, great set with your special guests, Pablo Cruz and Firefall. And this has been such a pleasure to chat with you a little bit today.
Thank you so much. Please come out to the show and come backstage and so I can shake your hand, and thank you guys for doing this personally.
Well, you got it, man. We'll do it.
I'd love to.
Take care of yourself, all right? And be well. We'll see you at the show.
Thank Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, take care. That is Don Felder
What
of
a nice man.
the Eagles.
To be that big of a legend and be so humble and nice.
It's going with our theory again about the
Tom Petty had to play guitar.
Yeah, it's going with our theory of the non-dickheads.
Yeah.
Well, when you get this guy, I didn't even ask about his daughter being a singer.
Yeah. Married into the Jenner family, too.
Jeez, Louise.
Which I wonder...
Slash walks down the street with
his
his guitar
neighbor.
and then rings the door. This is a story. And then rings the doorbell because he was doing a song.
Yeah.
And they needed a specific type of lead or something. I read this on something, and then I think I don't think he had the number, so he hit somebody else up to hit him up, and then he just walks down the street and just rings the doorbell and just carries in his his Les Paul and goes back there and plugs in the home studio and just lays down some. That's crazy, right? Thank you to Bill for setting that up. It's always cool to talk to super famous old rock stars, man.
Yeah, and just the Eagles and what they represent and how huge of a band they were. And just the name, and it's crazy.
Yeah, remember the little Don Henley thing from a month ago when they were doing something where it's a story about Don Henley where something went to court and there were some documents that were released and there was some unsavory things in the documents about Don, and an underage prostitute. And he's I wish he'd not released that. It was one of those things where couldn't we just leave that alone? Couldn't we have just left it alone?
It's fine. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Corporate Time. Welcome back to A Corporate Time. We've got Dustin and Greg Runge in here.
Hey! Oh, it's dying. It's dying.
You need to get new batteries. To talk about their podcast, The No Show.
Good to see you guys. It's been a minute, y'all.
So I've known Dustin for damn near 20 years. So I'm gonna
Greg's
ask
on my
Greg a lot of questions.
Greg's on my feed. Greg's on my feed.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Greg. I don't see a lot of Dustin.
Yeah.
I see a lot of Dustin now because you're in my algorithm. But for a minute, it was just all Greg.
So let's talk about the podcast and when did you start it? And then, Greg, I want to talk to you about how you built your social media following.
Yeah, man.
Sure.
Thanks for being here, y'all.
Well, I think we don't classify it as a podcast.
Nice.
And we actually have a little thing, a slogan that we're working with. It's F your podcast.
All right. I like that.
Yeah, the No Show
We hate
TV.
podcasts too. Although I call everything a podcast. If you're on Instagram, I'm like, I got a podcast.
Well, it's all just a digital podcast.
Well, really, the only reason it's not technically a podcast is because you can't go and listen to the whole show. You can't go on Spotify. You can't go and download the podcast.
Oh, there's no way to listen to it? I like that. There's really a marketing.
It's the No Show.
No, see,
there is a way.
Yeah, there's a little bit more than that. See, well, first off, everybody's doing a podcast now, right?
We know.
Tell me about it.
So, I love and respect everybody's.
You don't have to say that.
Creative.
You could ass all over them if you want to. We do all the time. Most podcasts are really bad. I don't know if you've listened to them.
I don't respect 95%.
But what I do enjoy, right, is with scrolling through my feed and getting those 1 minute gold pieces or those 3 minute stories or something like that catches you. And then and we weren't sure what we were going to do when we came together. We didn't know what kind of chemistry we have.
Sure.
And I see a lot of people who start these podcasts fail. So we just wanted to sit down and just start talking. And we had the opportunity to have some studio time at the pod in Sanford, and we just wanted to see where it went with.
It's a beautiful spot. I like the way they're. Yeah. I mean, it's all top tier quality. I mean, it's like best of the best looking stuff.
Yeah, it's gorgeous over there.
It looks way better than our old rags. And we put out. My God.
Is it like a studio setup for people that they can use to podcast? Like
that's how big podcasting is. That there's a studio set up
franchising
in Sanford to do it.
And then you could just rent it out to use?
Sure. By the hour, you can make an annual deal with it. I don't know all the ins and outs with it, but you can check it out. It's the Pod Creative Studios in downtown Sanford.
Yeah, we should do that with this studio.
I know. I suggested
that's way better than us doing it.
I told you.
I don't want to do this every day.
Guess who's going to have to be there, Mr. Engineer?
So it's almost like 400 square feet, right? And he has 4 different sets. He has a green screen setup, two couch setups with different backdrops, and then the setup that we use, it's just a table and a couple of chairs, and you can put your own branding into the back.
He stole our couch idea. I copied her. I mailed it to myself. I'm like, do
Still
a podcast.
sitting in your mailbox.
I have a couch.
He just leaves them there.
At least 2 chairs.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's some patent troll that tried to do that.
So you guys do a show, but then cut up the interesting parts of the show and then release it.
And do the short form.
Okay.
I love it.
And then our goal would be then to, if you wanted to watch the whole thing, you can watch it live at real time, but we want to bring people to noshowtv.sucks, and it's behind a paywall. It's $4.20 a month or $42 a year, and you can watch it in real time. But other than that, we're going to share the real gold clips on short form throughout the platform.
Yeah, so you promote it, and then if you want it, go here and buy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. That's the way we used to do it.
So, Greg, how did you build your social following, and what's your background? Because it's kind of a mystery. Because I tried to look for it because I'm like, how did Greg build this?
I don't know your story.
I don't know either, but we got 20 million views last week. It's amazing.
It's insane. So, where did it start?
Well, it started with, let's say, back in the toxicity of 2016 when Facebook was real divided, right?
Yeah.
No matter what side you were on. It was divided. It was toxic. And I spoke my piece. And then that after the election happened, it kept on following. And I never wear my ideologies as my identity, but the people who attached on me did. So I did concert production for the last 20 years, and then COVID shut that down.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of do other stuff.
Yeah.
So I was in 2019. One of the main people that I worked for was Gillette Stadium up in New England, and did all their production work. So anytime that the Pats did something on the road, in this case it was the Super Bowl, our team would go and we would build the performance, the stage thing, the parties afterwards.
Okay.
So I'm here in Atlanta, and I'm posting them at the Super Bowl, and these people who attached to me because of ideologies wouldn't let me have a good time. And I was like, you know what? F this. The next day, Monday, I got rid of Facebook. And on Tuesday, I was bored. And I needed something to keep my hands busy. So I downloaded TikTok, and that was right when it came from Musical.ly. So I was there in the early times in 2019.
Okay,
right on.
So early adopter of TikTok, and
Right.
then using TikTok as your form of social media. What was different about it than Facebook that you found right away?
That I was able to create again. Where Facebook was just a place where you just you gave your sob story, or you spread your toxic positivity. Look what my life really isn't, but you make the world take. Here you got to create. I fell in love with the lip sync aspect of it, and I was a theater kid growing up, and I tried to do the acting growing up, and I wanted to get into television and stuff. But with TikTok, I was able to create almost like you would a movie in short form, but you would get the gratification now as in theater with the likes or shares and stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
made me feel good.
There's like a fuel there.
Right.
Sure.
So in the beginning times, I did all the things that you did on TikTok. The dances, the lip syncs, and I did a lot of stoner content like memes and stuff. And I got a grassroots following, and it blew up. And across all the platforms right now, I have about 2 million followers. I have one on Facebook that's 1.1 million, and another one that's over 600,000. That is now the No Show page.
Nice.
I stepped away from it about a year because I needed to collect myself on some stuff and try to evolve with the times, because it's not Musical.ly anymore. It's not TikTok. It's not lip syncing. It's not stuff. Like everything else, it evolves, and I needed to figure out what I was going to do with it, and this is going to be a big part of it now.
Cool.
Yeah.
Got a plan.
How have you felt being
Nobody
Daniel?
comes in here with a plan. What's wrong with this guy? Nobody ever comes in here and says, I thought about this. This is what I'm doing.
Me and Daniel often talk about the value of audiences, and it's all across the board.
Yeah, it's like all different currencies.
Yeah.
Like every It seems like every social media platform is like almost a different currency, and it has a different value, or it speaks to a different people, or a different age group, or a different. It could be anything, you know, like something cultural. I don't know.
Have you analyzed that yourself? Of like, well, okay, what is the value of this? You know, 2 million followers, because it seems like the more they are involved with you, the more active they are, the more valuable they are. Because we've seen
chat room says you need to start wearing suits.
Oh, me! I'm gonna talk to Dustin about that because immediately I wanted to bow to him when he walked in here.
That's the plan.
I'm like, this guy. I'm like, I have to pull my pants up. This guy means business.
You thought you were fancy with your polo.
If I see someone in a suit, immediately they're better than me. It's psychological.
It's a power move.
But then I remember, it's just Dustin.
Wait a minute, I know that guy.
It's like
He
Halloween.
just got hired, forgot to do laundry. It's the only thing that was left.
But have you studied the value of what different audiences are on social media?
Yeah, and they definitely are different audiences. Each platform definitely has a beast. You can repurpose content all day, but they're only going to work a certain amount of times. And I repurpose and do it wrong myself. I know what each platform should be like. I haven't been able to. In the last year, I have set up the plan, like you said, and I know what I need to do. But absolutely, each platform, it's its own beast. You can't grow a bigger following quicker than on TikTok, but maintaining it and evolving with that, because it's quickly evolving, is huge. And numbers,
like a bonsai tree.
Yeah, and numbers.
You have to maintain it, Tom.
And I got to work on it. I got to.
Tom doesn't understand half the things I say to him. He just looks over at me like, "What? Who's that? What do you say? Turn your hearing aids on."
I got to work on it and get my algorithm going again. And you got to be faithful on your posting to continue growing momentum. But a lot of times those numbers are just fake, dude. And I don't want to say fake like a bot or anything like that. But if you don't look at it realistically and you make it your identity, it's gross. And I've ran into a lot of people like that throughout, because I have grown. I did grow up with the app, and a lot of people are who's who on the app, and they have these numbers. And
you did it organically. I mean, it looks very authentic because you've been doing it a very long time.
Yeah,
you know.
But the number of people that you meet that are not who they perceived to be on app is disgusting, and how they make it their identities, like they're these quasi celebrities now. Like, I get uncomfortable leaving in town if someone's like, "Oh, Greg is TikTok." Like, I don't talk about it unless someone mentions it or get pulled aside and someone takes a picture, and then people I'm with like, "What the F was that?" And then you have to explain. Like, I don't make it my identity, where I know a lot of people do. Like, I have, let's just say my one account, 1 million followers. There might be 100,000 followers that might know my name. They remembered following me for some reason. And then there's 10,000 people that really know my like my.
Yeah,
and then there's 1,000 people that follow me and will do anything I ask, and then there's 100 people that have my back 100%. So I could say I have 1 million followers all day long.
It narrows us up. That we found that too with the just podcasting. Like, our BDMs are, in the industry terms and radios, like P1s, like the people that would call your show or interact and use your sponsor. Active. Yeah, the most engagement. And you're right. It's like you have this huge audience, but then it does narrow down to a tight core, and then that core is who actually really supports you.
Like, and there's only a few that will eat a candy corn out of my butt crack, and those are the ride or dies.
Mike B.
Mike B. will eat a candy. In fact, if you come to the BDM Luau, I'm bringing candy corn. Line up.
And I'm going to make him do it. He said on Facebook he's not doing anything ridiculous.
His boss,
he's a manager.
Do you guys know Mike B? Mike B's boss told him he couldn't helicopter his penis at our event. His boss said that and made him agree before he left. Made him agree at the end of the day. He's like, "I'm making you swear to me you'll not helicopter at the BDM Luau."
And then when you walk away from that conversation, you know he's going to do it.
say at that point, you're just quitting, right?
You're waving, he's driving away. You're like, have fun, and you know what he's going to do.
Greg, do you find people are surprised when they find out you're a TikTok influencer? Because if it would be a great game show if they put you on a pedestal and they're like, all right, you have 3, I'm going to give you 3 jobs, and guess what Greg does? Sea captain? Yeah. Stonemason or TikTok influencer?
What about owner of very large and tech friendly head shop?
Yeah, okay.
I can see you pull up in a Hummer and get out, and it's like a head shop as big as Fair Villa, and it's just like every strand known to man. Because I'd be like, oh, there he is. I'd be hugging you, and like, here's some coupons.
Because there is a stereotype with TikTok is for younger generation.
Oh,
it started as a dancing app,
So, and I crushed the dancing app.
I was going to say, that probably set you apart to be like a grown-ass man on there.
Fish out of water.
With I don't know your age or anything, but you just dancing around on there. People are probably like, hell yeah, like that's different. That's
I have a few dancing ones that are probably over 25 million views.
Jesus Christ, man.
And then I have one of my stoner vids that I did in Vegas with another character, Polly. That's my biggest viewed on Instagram, currently sitting at like 74 million views.
Oh my God,
crazy!
What's the weird stuff that comes with that, though? Like, I mean, have you had any weird run-ins, or people that say weird stuff, or people that in your DMs are like, "I'm going to kill myself. Please tell me. Please stop me."
Do you read every comment and all that?
I did in the beginning, and then I learned very quickly, like especially on viral ones, I'll give a solid 10 minutes to it, engage in each one of those, and walk away, because your first 10 minutes you'll get people that really appreciate what you just did, and then there are going to be people that are just trolling because they troll, and there's no reason to feed into it or give them a platform. So but I have very thick skin. I've never really did a come at you video. Ones that I have, we've gotten great relationships from it. But one thing I could say is I never had to make an apology video, and that will never happen.
Yeah,
nice. I like that.
It doesn't seem like the apology videos do anything beneficial to you. You just get a bunch of hate from people who are like, you shouldn't be apologizing, and the people that are already mad will not accept your apology. That will not change it. So it's really for nothing.
It puts me in a weird spot too as a viewer, because I don't really trust a lot of social media. So a lot of the apologies that I see, especially ones that include ukuleles, sometimes I look at those and feel like, I'm like, you're doing this to double down to get the hate. And I see kids talk about that where they're like, I don't care who looks at it as long as they're looking at it. And I'm like, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, you say you have a tough skin. Did you start with that? Did you have to build that up? Do you think you have a more healthy relationship with social media, or less healthy, the fact that you are in it?
Well, I guess maybe because this comes from the generation that I grew up, that like you had your share of bullies. Is bullying right? No, absolutely. Do people take it to a whole different level? Absolutely. Yeah. But you have to realize before you're putting yourself out there publicly that not everybody is going to be your fan. Not everybody's there with the best intentions. And there are ways in which that you can do, if you know there are certain things that are going to trigger you, there are ways that you can eliminate that from the rip and go into your comment sections and what you allow on there or not. I have a self-conscious thing with my teeth, and if I knew that was going to like trigger me every time that I did it, then I'm just as much of a fool for allowing people to do it if I have that tool to shut that off. Now, do people take things to an extreme? Absolutely. Have there been kids that hurt themselves because of it? Sure. Are there some sort of regulations that should happen? Yeah, I'm sure there's some guidelines, but your parenting, it starts there,
Sure.
But I see there's some, like TikTok itself, they've really have broken it down. Like the average age of a TikTok user right now is mid-30s. So it started.
That's you, Tom.
It started as a kids app, from Musical.ly, and there was a lot of things. But the way they've built their algorithm, unless you're liking those kind of videos, then you're going to see only adult type stuff. You're going to be segregated that way. They have it great like that. Like
Tom's are all camel toe videos, and they're the extreme camel toes. Have you seen the extreme camel toe?
Come on,
the extreme camel toe.
Don't tell Mr. Runge.
What are you got, Runge? You need to know this.
Check it out.
Runge, you have to know about extreme camel toe.
I want to check out a camel toe.
No, these are not.
That's my nickname, the Big Camel Toes. I'm like, wow, it's a big Runge.
God bless that Runge. Look at him, Runge. I don't know what I'm saying.
Speaking of TikTok,
there is no extreme camel toes. I made that up. But somebody buy that URL, please.
Extreme camel.
By the way, I don't know anything that's going on in the world.
but you know extreme camel toes.
Weren't they like threatening to disband TikTok in the United States?
Yeah, do you guys know anything about that? You want to explain that? What's going on with that?
Excuse me. I don't know if I haven't kept up currently in the last, I'd say, week or two. I know it's.
You got to talk to Dustin too, because he's sitting over there in his suit for no reason. And the chat room's even commenting. The chat room's like, "Why is there a man in a suit for no reason?" And he's talking to the big Runge.
I like when you put on a suit for no reason, like a limo driver, because
you're here to drive Runge to the extreme camel toe competition.
I do look like I had a limo driver in a suit, and it'd be like, you could do this in basketball shorts. The suit is too much.
You know what this looks like? This looks like the big Runge on his way to the extreme camel toe competition with his limo driver / security.
I'll be more than happy to pass it over to Dustin if he knows about the TikTok.
No, I'm just reminding Tom he's a terrible host. All Tom can think of is getting you guys out of here so he can go back to TikTok extreme camel toes.
It still has to go through the Senate. I don't know if it has gone through the Senate. I know they did debate it at one point, at one day anyway, but it still has to go through the Senate and then has to be signed by the president. And then at that point there...
old man? Oh, God!
They have 165 days to either divest their company or they will be taken off of the App Store. So it really does just sound like a big money grab and like a business takeover.
Sure.
Then it does a ban. So
some Americans gonna be like, I want TikTok. I want all of America's TikTok followers. That seems pretty valuable.
Right. Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
And I plan on. I'm focused on, like I said, the plan. I'm planning on it to disappear for October and to utilize the platform because again, there's no other platform that you can grow. It's going to be the Wild Wild West over there with their TikTok store. So there'll be opportunities for mom and pops to be able to make some quick money if in fact it does disappear, and use that time to move people over to other platforms if that's what you want.
There you go. So
Tom's big on what's your one you like? Rumbler? Parlor.
So
here, John.
Dustin, how'd you meet Greg?
I don't need pity questions.
How long did it take you to drive from Greg here? Did you use GPS? Do you use the British accent for the GPS? Because I find that's the most fancy.
Do you want me to head? Excuse me, sir. Shall we head to extreme camel toes?
Dustin, how'd you meet Greg?
Through West End, Sanford, all that stuff. We started working together on a couple different event stuff and everything like that, and then we did a podcast together for like 2 weeks, and then we started doing this.
All right.
Oh wait, so you canned it? You did the podcast here like this?
Well, we started with a whole different concept, and it was a bigger show, and it didn't go where we wanted to go. So then we revamped, and like I said, what he was in, where we just kind of, let's just sit down, let's start filming, let's start recording, and we've done that for about 2 months now.
Nice. Tom and I did that, but we just decided to power through. Still not working.
Yeah. Because I do tell new podcasters, I'm like, it doesn't have to be the format that you started with.
It can be anything you want.
Don't follow our lead and just stick to one format for 17 years and never change it.
I hate it. And we can't change it now because our guys, you probably get this. If you change one thing that they like, they
start bitching.
Oh my God.
And that's like the thing on social media a lot of times. If you go viral for that one thing, whatever that one thing that you truly went viral for, that's what they expect you to do from there on out. And I've always kind of just thrown stuff against the wall and just saw what stuck and did it. I did memes, I did the dances, so I always switched it up. So I would like to think that I'll be able to switch things up with this. We plan on doing a lot of man on the street stuff. We're looking at getting our own building downtown and still having relations with the studio that we're working with, but we want to have our own space to be able to brand it. Best case scenario in downtown, like if we could find a house that we could make a content house to have our studio and have that backyard and the kitchen, all the different elements of short-term videos, we'll have that capability.
Like an incubator.
Hold on, I gotta rent you a house.
I was just thinking about that. We got screwed. We're gonna have Jim Colbert from the Jim Colbert Show. He told me when he sold his fancy property that he was going to move into the Airbnb and that he and his lovely wife Tori were going to stay there for about 3 months and really take a little heat off of us because Tom got his foot in a bit of a financial hole. And then right before, after he sold the house, I mean, money in hand, he's like, I'm not staying at that dump, and he peaced out, and now he screwed us.
Well, did I feel bad that I introduced you to the person that you had to deal with?
You guys want to collab on a content house in downtown? I need a place to live and do a studio.
Well, it's got everything in it. In fact, we got a boom arm with a light on it. Just slap the light on there, stick a microphone on it, and you're ready to go.
I've always wanted a content house.
Oh, my God. Remember?
I want webcam and sleepover bars.
Yes, I want the whole one. For your dorm.
Not the hype house.
For your dorm. For your dorm in Tampa. Oh, my God. You're like, let's go to her bedroom. You go to her bedroom, and you're like, oh, is she asleep? I think she is asleep. Well, I'll just wait here for hours.
I was just listening to her breathe.
There's no audio.
The last sleepover party thing we did, it wasn't even at a house. It was at a dirty motel.
Yeah. One of the girls that gave Tom a massage. And I believe she has an OnlyFans account. Is on our YouTube page, and she comments on all the videos all the time, and she's like, ooh la la, Tom, look at how Tom, ooh la la, look at Tom.
No, you told me she gave me a massage. I'm like, I do not remember it.
She told me she gave you a massage. I didn't tell you nothing.
I didn't get a massage.
It's from her mouth.
Dustin was there.
I vaguely remember a massage.
Yeah, it was like a massage. What I remember. How's he acting? How's he acting? And you're like, oh, and then you did your freak out. You punch the mirror, all fake. I like that there was a massage though.
There's no even video of that. No one had cell phone cameras.
No streams back in the day. It wasn't like it was collecting a video stream. It had video, but like it just went. It like went. Yeah. It was like a stream of water into the dirt. It just went into nothing
and then gone.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And then the Voyeur Dorm. We have a bunch of connections to Voyeur Dorm. One of the interns that worked with me on the morning show.
Yeah, that was in the 90s,
he became a gay voyeur boy.
Yeah.
In the, he was of age, I'm not saying anything weird, but he was and you just walk around the house and in a jockstrap with all these cameras on, and he's laying and he was making money. He's getting like free room and board, and he because it was like, and people were paying because there's nothing like it.
There was the beginning, as Greg knows, like the beginning of anything, like TikTok, all the social media, even like what social media used to be is so crazy.
It's way different now.
To see the evolution of it.
It's a legitimate job now.
Yeah.
Like, I know multiple people like you, and then Adam LZ, Obsessed Garage, Matt Moore. Like, we know multiple people that I can't even count them on one hand.
Well, me and
that make money from this.
Do you think, and this is kind of an obvious question, but because of when you started, because you're early adopter, that is the reason. Like, if you started now, do you think you're going to build the same audience? Me and Daniel talk about this all the time. Like, if we started podcasting now, no way.
I don't think I could.
Would we ever have?
I'm not that good.
The audience, just because of the amount of other content there's out, like you just get lost.
I would like to bet on myself, but I cannot.
Yeah.
I think I would be able to see what's going on and try to emulate, I guess, and what's good. Because that's kind of like the thing, right? Is what is the trend right now? What do people like? What are people engaging in? And I would like to think that I could jump right in and do what's relevant, but I don't think that I would be as motivated as I was as an early adopter.
Okay, yeah.
Right, that makes sense.
Because I was able to grow with it, and there were... it's a little bit different. Like,
yeah, I think it helps. Like, maybe I can help out. I think it helps to not see what everybody else is doing for it not to be popular. So, like, when we started podcasting, there was nothing to compare it to. There was no way to see if anybody was doing well or anybody doing bad. It was really a nothing. It was literally a blank canvas, and then the paints were anything you could think of, right? Like, could be anything. You could throw food on it. It's paint.
Yeah.
But for you and I, when we're making these shows, there was nothing there, right? Now, when you start a show, well, you've got Rogan up here at the top, and then you've got 1 billion really bad shows below you. So there's all these different things that you are absorbing,
in between,
and they're going in your brain, and subconsciously they're bouncing off of you, and I think you're micro influenced by them because it's a real thing now. Podcasting does have even us, we're trapped in the way that we do it because we're trapped. It's just the way that we do it. We're influenced by it.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know. It's a very interesting conversation though.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I thought that social media was this important when I signed up for Twitter in 2009. My wife, we weren't married at the time, we were just dating, not even engaged. And she's like, hey, there's this new thing, Twitter, get on this. All the kids, she was in UCF. She's like, all the college, she's dating some old man. She's like, get on this. And I get on there, and like, it's my biggest. It's not a lot. It's only like 21,000. That's not a lot of people.
My old man boyfriend has Twitter.
Do you know Andrea dates this little old man? Do you know how many times somebody said that to my wife? It's got to be hundreds of times in college. People are like, oh my God, here comes that little old man again.
So let's plug where we can find the show again. It's the No Show. Where can people subscribe to hear the whole show and
bits and pieces?
Right now, the only way to get the whole show is if you go to our website, www.noshowtv.sucks, which we're very proud of that.
I like that.
You can do a dot sucks.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So, if you go there, you can sign up there.
Yeah. Wait till you see my Jim Colbert dot sucks.
Remember when Dustin made QR codes before anybody knew it? In like 2015.
Yeah. And everybody in the Real Radio production department said he's an idiot. I just want to be on record to say that.
You were like, you guys should get a QR code. And
he made us one.
I'm like, this will never. What is this black and white puzzle?
Look at him now.
Is this a magic eye? What is this?
Anyway,
and everybody uses them every day. Every goddamn day.
The pandemic saved those things.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Everybody was like, we need a menu. What happened to those magic eye things we hated? Well, put those on the menus.
I made a QR code for Emilio Estevez once, okay? It was a big deal.
I know.
No BS.
You've always been in the forefront.
Dustin was doing that in graphic design 15 years before I ever saw him again. He was like, you did it. I was like, that's stupid. And then they disappeared. And then they came back and everybody's like, this is how you get your menus now that the world is dead. I'm like, what?
That's the same thing that happened when I discovered dabs. Everybody thought I was crazy.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
It's like the crack of weed. Dustin, Greg, thanks so much for coming by.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. I hope you'll come by more, man. It's good energy.
Yep. And we will see you tomorrow. Welcome to Corporate Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan, and I'm super excited because we have a guest, but that means we have to get the business out of the way.
Well, it's BDM Appreciation Week this week, and that means that at the end of the week on Saturday, we're doing our BDM Appreciation Party.
Yes, sir.
And it is a Hawaiian luau pool party.
Yeah, it's a Hawaiian luau pool party. I don't know why we thought of this. I don't know why we waited this long to think of this.
And we got Aloha Productions to perform.
Oh, no, I think this thing is dying.
It is.
Oh, it's not loud. It's like, beep, beep. It's like, I was
well,
going to
you
give
use
him a
it a
blast.
lot.
I do use it a lot.
And with us in studio from Aloha Productions, we have Rex in studio.
Hey,
How you doing, Rex?
Man.
Mahalo. Aloha, family. How are you all doing today?
Mahalo.
And
mahalo? Mahalo.
Yeah,
Can I
mahalo.
say that?
Yeah, you can say that.
Okay, mahalo.
Okay,
I like
yeah.
that. Mahalo.
And Rex is from Aloha Productions and will be performing at Saturday's luau pool party. And he is here to talk about his job. So we wrote him AI did.
AI wrote him a custom.
GPT.
This is a GPT. We had AI write him a custom song, and the prompt I put in
Okay.
was Hawaiian song Don Ho style, because we had talked about Don Ho.
Yeah.
And we were trying to veer AI away from being racist because Rex and I were talking about how we thought it would make the theme song sound like SpongeBob.
Yeah, okay.
And then it would do the 2 hours later. It'll do all of that. Yeah, okay. So here we go. It made 2 songs, both with the same title, both called Working in Paradise. Here we go. Hit it.
Sticking got a rise with the sun. It's another work day. Time to have some fun. Surfboard in my hand, sand between my toes.
This is Jason Mraz. Yeah, this is not. That's not.
It's pretty good.
No,
This is Jack Johnson.
It's been whitewashed. It's been whitewashed. That is not.
I love whitewash.
That is not a traditional.
Yeah.
Let's try the other one. Let's see.
Clock's ticking, got a rise with the sun.
I feel like I'm supposed to buy some mushroom coffee from some dumb girl with a big hat on.
It's some avocado toast.
Yeah, this is stupid.
Surfboard in my hand.
Surfboard in hand.
Between my toes. Living the island life. No.
Okay, the strumming sounds a little brother is like.
Okay.
I'm a pineapple picker.
I'm a pineapple picker.
Pineapple picker.
Do I have to cut that out? I'm a pineapple picker.
AI did that.
Have you been playing with my AI? When Tom plays with my AI, I have to work really hard in the rest of the day to get 20% of the racism out of it. He keeps dumping it.
To AI's, credit, it does take the entire internet and
analyze it. And
the
you're like,
world
well,
is
they
racist.
think this, so I think this too. Yeah.
Anyway,
so Rex, thanks for being here.
Yes.
And go ahead. I figured you were going to lead the conversation here and ask him a question.
We'll start with what you do, Rex. You're a fire knife dancer.
Yeah.
You're an MC for Aloha Productions. Let's talk about how you started to do this.
Yeah, I started my journey in Polynesian dancing, Polynesian entertainment very, very young.
Okay.
My parents were both Polynesian entertainers and dancers at SeaWorld, and also my uncles were the very first Polynesian performers over there at Walt Disney World. So they came all the way from Polynesia itself to come here to the East Coast of America to do what they love to do, which is what they grew up doing, which is dancing and entertaining, and doing that throughout the whole years. And I grew up watching my parents and my uncles, dominate the stage in these amazing theme parks and things like that. And then me and my brother were both world champion fire dancers.
Wow.
And
so let's talk about that. What's the history of the Polynesian fire dance?
Yeah, so the fire knife dance itself comes from the island of Samoa.
Okay.
If anybody's ever heard of Samoa before, that's where the Rock is from, the bloodline, a lot of football players are from the island of Samoa. I know a lot of people pronounce it Samoa, but that's a Girl Scout cookie, right?
Okay,
Wait, as you were saying that, I'm like, I'm not familiar with this.
And I like how he corrects you in a completely dismissive way because he's a sizable man that can push you down. I like that. I would say that too. I'd be like, that's for cookies, bitch.
So now, just to give you a little bit of backstory, I've been to Hawaii twice, so I'm not a total Haole. So just you can talk. Daniel, he's an outsider.
This guy.
Anyway, so now, the actual when and how'd you learn to fire knife dance? And you this is like a family business, so
that's what makes it cooler, right? Because
it's
like steeped in tradition. If you're learning it from your dad,
learning it from my pops was the guy that learned the second generation of the fire knife dance. The fire knife dance is actually the youngest Polynesian dance out there, other than hula awana, which is the modern style of hula that you see in TV.
Sure.
Okay.
So watching my uncles and my father light the fire knife in front of all these thousands of people that came to Orlando, he just gave me the stick outside, like, hey, I'm going to teach you how to do this. With the stick at first, not with fire. And then this is when I'm like 4 years old. And 6 years old, he's like, okay, here's the fire knife. I'm going to light this on fire. And then, a lot of parents encourage you not to do that. But my parents, and especially my dad, taught us that ancient art form. Because the fire knife dance itself, the weapon that we were using is actually an old war club. But the fire dance that we're doing is the ancient martial art that was used thousands of years ago. And now it's more of entertainment purposes. So it was all brought down from my father and my uncles that entertained and taught me and my brother that got onto the world stage and got to prove our skills.
Well, it's kind of important, though, because it's preserving something that's cultural to, the people of, Polynesia, right? Like, I mean, it's like you're in a weird way. If you don't do it, it's almost like it dies. You know, like it's almost like you have to continue teaching it, passing it on, teaching it, passing it on. We were making jokes before the show, but I really am envious of that. Like, I'm jealous that I see that. And I go, that is so cool that you have something that's so precious to not only your family but culturally. Like, so it's even bigger, and you get to like continue doing that and showing it to people and in a good town, an entertainment town, you know?
And I'm curious with the fire knife. I think most of our listeners have an idea, have seen this, like fire knife dancing in some aspect, somewhere. And how much freestyle, almost improv is there to fire knife
your
dancing.
Own personality, maybe?
And how much, is it rehearsed, and is there a specific way that even, like, culturally it's supposed to be done?
Yeah, so we do a lot of basic warrior movements that was in the original dance.
Okay.
But now in the modern style of fire knife dancing, a lot of it is improv, a lot of it is making tricks with it. You know, because in the ancient style of doing the fire knife dance, if you saw it in the earlier days when it first started, everything is around the body. Now we're throwing the knives up in the air, 2 knives up in the air and doing those tricks that were in a part of the tradition, but we wanted to elevate the dance itself. And just like hula, it's changed all over the years. So Polynesian dancing has to evolve with the times. And
do you get elders that are kind of like, oh, he's tossing them again? I like it around the body. I like a traditional hula where it stays tight and low. I don't like the coconut bras. Or like, do you get a little bit of that?
There's a lot of
pushback.
Yeah, there's a lot of the older generation that call us baton twirlers.
That's a good shot. But
it's more of a innovation, trying to make things new and fresh.
Sure.
Even hula has changed over a long time ago. If you see the hula on TV in the 80s and 90s and you look at hula now, the way we do it now in the Aloha Productions, we're paying homage to what was there before without losing that cultural impact and instinct, but making it more contemporary.
So. Yeah, well, you got to put your own personality into it, right? Or it's not really fun. You can't leave your own mark on it.
No,
that's true.
Well, let's talk about the fire knife itself. How does
you want one so bad?
Stay on fire?
You're freaking out. Yeah.
Have you ever burned yourself badly?
Yeah, man. Well, being a fire knife dancer, you kind of sign up for the crazy life, the risk-taking life.
Yeah, you just know you're going to get burned.
Yeah, because a lot of people think that the fire knife is just a baton with like 2 towels on it, but it's actually a staff, and there's a blade. There's a blade, and on top of that blade is a hook that goes out like this. It's a small hook.
Sure.
And it's called the Nifo'oti. That's the name of the weapon. It means the tooth of death.
Whoa!
So not only are you worrying about getting cut, you're also worrying about getting burned and all those things. So things have happened. Like I used to have long hair. I set my hair on fire.
Oh, man. During a performance?
Oh, not during a performance. That was in practice. Of course, we don't want to do that in front of the people that want to have Aloha Productions. That will never happen in the show.
Well, accidents happen. And of all things to see, if you set your hair on fire.
And then you go crazy and you buy a train and you're riding a train with little boys on it the rest of your life. That's what happened to Michael Jackson.
It's like a Pepsi commercial.
Yeah, it blew his hair off, and then he went crazy. He bought the train with the little boys on it. They're driving it around.
What's the hardest thing to learn with fire knife dancing?
I think the hardest thing to learn is your self-trust with yourself with the weapon or with the stick itself. Because it takes a long time for you to get to the point where you get to light the fire knife and do the routine. It's really trusting yourself, trusting your hands. You can drop it a lot and things like that. That's probably the hardest part. Is nailing down the basics, getting that clean, so when you do light the fire knife, when you do get to that level, that all of that is out the window. You're not even scared of the fire anymore. Now you have to go over the fear of the fire, and then once you get that, you can add in more tricks and more things. So it's. I feel like saying this is weird, but I feel like anybody can do it. Anybody can do the fire
Tom
knife
is already
dance.
thinking that. He's that guy. He's overconfident in every way. He looks at anything anyone does, and he goes, I can do that.
No, because
this one's going to be hard for you because of the old hands. His hands are... He's got pain hands.
No, carpal tunnel.
I didn't know that.
But
feel bad for him. He hates that.
I can
Make him look at how weak his hands are.
I'm as good ones as ever.
So he can do... He's in for one dance.
Well, imagine it takes an insane amount of practice getting it down. Like, I mean, probably 10,000 hours just to be able to continuously twirl the fire knife and make it look fluid.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can start now as an adult either. Do you hear what I'm saying? Like you started as a boy, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So that muscle memory,
he's got it. It's like, and I almost feel like you have to start at 6. You said, or
a lot of people, like my brother, started at 3, but there's a lot of people. Yeah, I know it's so crazy. My family, I love
my son's diapers on at 3.
He's twirling a fly.
We're gonna pass on the family show to you at 3 o'clock, like 3 years old.
Yeah.
But yeah, like what you said, learning the fluidity of the dance. That's what makes it good. You know, it's a warrior dance, but with the tool, you have to make it look seamless in every performance, and that takes a lot of time.
Is there any particular move that we may see on Saturday?
The triple Lindy.
That it's a super hard, difficult maneuver, but we may miss it or something. Like throwing it and catching it, I imagine, is hard enough. You're catching a spinning knife on fire, and if you like you said, you catch the blade side. You don't want to catch it with the fire side. So you have there's a small. You don't have a lot of error here.
Yeah. I think people need to see the tricks that we're going to do at the show. It's going to be more single knife with just one knife. You do the one knife routine and then the double knife.
Okay.
But everything catching behind your back that you'll see the fire knife dancers do, I feel like people will see that and be like, oh, that's pretty easy. But you got to remember you're timing all your tosses and the amount of spins it does in the air before it falls into your hand before you get to the next move. I feel like that's something that I would always want to push the audience to know, like, hey, we're spinning it, but as soon as we let it go in the air, that's the amount of trust and training the fire knife dancer has to catch every move, whether it be behind your back or throwing it over your body or tossing it around your neck. Those are some cool tricks and cool moves that are nowadays moves that people need to, appreciate. And even putting the fire knife on your tongue, putting the fire on your tongue and lighting the other side, that's something that's what's passed down when
that's so cool.
The fire dance first started. Yeah.
And I, the fire is able to burn without it being super hot because of the liquid that you're using. Like I want to get into the specifics of the fire knife because I mean to not burn yourself and burn your mouth.
Well, I would just light a knife on fire. I could use anything, just like straight gasoline, oil, crude oil. Could be anything, and then I'm burning myself.
Yeah, I like to say, like, there's no tricks. Like, there's no, we don't put any special oils. I know a lot of people come up to us and say, hey, do you use, special lotions on your body? No, what you see is what you get. We come out with nothing, literally nothing.
That's so cool.
In the States, we use white gas, like Coleman fuel and stuff. That's healthy gas. So when you put the fire in your tongue and all that, it doesn't produce this big smoke, and it's actually pretty safe. And when adrenaline kicks in up there on stage, you can put the fire knife around you. It really doesn't burn or hurt. So
how many performances have you done personally in your lifetime, and what's the typical audience for Aloha Productions?
That's a good question,
because I know you recently have a residency, and but who usually hires you? I know we're the
goofballs.
We hired you for
we're the
a very unique,
the weirdos,
party, but
we have a weird party of our weird friends, and we want cool entertainment.
What's the norm?
Yeah, we have a wide variety of people that hire us.
Okay.
Whether it be families, corporations, corporate events, conventions. We pretty much fit into any mold of event that you would want. But we are mostly a family audience. Everything that we do is for the entire family.
That's cool.
Even if you go to the luau's in Hawaii, that's the same spirit that we want to keep here, that we want to bring from home, is that it's luau for everyone. It's for everyone, whether we're in a space full of executives or we're at a 5-year-old's birthday.
Yeah.
It's the same spirit and same love and same talent and same show that you would get. We do it and we tailor it to different people. We have different packages.
That's what you guys did for us, which is really cool. We appreciate the hell out of that.
And again, you could.
It was a cool experience getting to work with you guys, because the email was replied to in less than 15 minutes. And then Tom had all the details worked out in by the end of the
you guys are awesome
and then
to work with.
Here, honestly, I looked at him and I go, there's something I don't trust about this. Not you guys, us, because it came together so perfectly. I was like, this is great. I was like, these people are so awesome.
Yeah,
I don't trust it. Because we never have that happen. We're always like, things are getting messed up, but that's us. We always mess things up.
Yeah, and again, alohaproductions.com.
Yes.
You can check it out yourself and find them. But what are some of the misconceptions about the Polynesian culture that you experience a lot?
Man, there's a lot of things as a Polynesian person that a lot of misconceptions is that, we all come from Hawaii.
Okay.
You know, right? That Polynesia, you think about it, Hawaii is only...
I did that during the interview.
He actually has that written right there. It says, in Redding, it says, all from Hawaii.
Like, Hawaii is only one piece of the Polynesian triangle. If you think of the Polynesian triangle, you have Hawaii in the north, you have New Zealand, and then you have Easter Island to the east. And whatever encompasses that triangle is all of Polynesia. So Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, Tahiti, the Cook Islands, Niue, Tokelau, Tuvalu, all of these Polynesian islands that really never get talked about. I think that's the biggest misconception, is that we all just come from that North Island without knowing in the scan of the Pacific, we are the same people. We all came from the same lineage, but we wanted to make our own cultures, our own ways of life.
Yeah, there's so many cultural differences, I'm sure. Similarities as well, but like you're saying, there's definitive differences, and you can't just all lump it into the same thing.
Yeah, and that's what I love about Aloha Productions, too, is when you see the show, you're not just seeing Hawaii, you're seeing all across of Polynesia and getting a vast knowledge. Like, we're entertaining you and making you laugh, but we're also letting you know, like, hey, Polynesia as a whole should be celebrated, and this show is a celebration of all of Polynesia.
I love that throwback to the old... It seemed like the fire dance and like Hawaii and Polynesia and in the 70s, in like early 80s, it felt like that North America was like obsessed with it.
And fascinated by it. I mean, the hula dancer, the brand of that is so iconic and huge and bigger.
Like the international sign of party. Right? Like you see it and you're like, oh, like this is like, but it was weird. Like you saw Elvis get like obsessed with it. You saw like different, like there was this time in the 70s and early 80s when you'd have these big celebrities that would come and they'd want to like almost like, look at us, we're by a waterfall. Look, there's fire back here with red lights. And it was like, I don't know what that obsession was from that time, but I like it. I like that vibe.
It's an awesome culture. And I know it's not all about Hawaii, but anybody who's ever been there, I mean, it's a magical place that's unlike anything else you've ever experienced. And
what's the hidden secret in Polynesia? Like what area? What's the one, like nobody talks about it, you know of it because you know the culture, and it's the most beautiful place in the world that we don't know about.
Man, I think the place that never really gets talked about that I think is very, very beautiful is the Cook Islands.
Okay.
Rarotonga. Rarotonga is, to me, such a hidden gem of Polynesia. And even Easter Island, too. When you think of Easter Island, you only think of the moai statues, those heads.
Yeah.
But that whole island and that whole mystique of that island is, and even the culture and the way they dance is so much, it's like an amalgamation of all of Eastern Polynesia. You know, Eastern Polynesia is Hawaii all the way down to Easter Island. Then you have Western Polynesia, Fiji, all the way down to Samoa. So you see the similarities between us, linguistically, and some of the things that we say and dance. But those are the two places I think of when I think of the history of Polynesia, how strong ties it is with all of the kingdoms that used to be there.
Sure.
Those are the two islands I think about that not a lot of people get to dive deeper in.
Yeah, you mentioned, you were talking about like the power of their dancing and stuff, like, and not to backtrack, but you had mentioned that you and, was it your brother, were world champions?
Yeah, me and my brother, yeah.
How do you get, like, is it just like my daughter's in dance right now, she gets judged, is it a judge, do you have like people that are really good fire dancers, elders, people that are like, have maybe know the craft, and just like a regular dance competition, you go, you perform your fire dance, and they grade you on your performance?
Yes, so the world championships are held at the Polynesian Culture Center in Laie, Hawaii. That's where the Olympics of Fire Knife happens. And it's a panel of judges that have started the fire knife dance back as early as the 70s and the 80s.
And you were a champion.
Yeah, me and my brother were both world champions. Yeah.
You were the world champion.
Yeah.
Christ on a bike, Tom. I'm the champion of nothing.
To be a world champion. How many different performers? And I'm sure, like, and I mean, is it?
Congratulations! Do you get a knife? Do they?
They give you a trophy knife, and they give you a nice big check, like they do in the movies.
Check.
Yeah.
What'd you make?
I mean, oh yeah, of course I can say it. It's public information.
What'd you make?
Yeah, so the grand prize now is $7,000, but when I was competing 2 or 3 years ago, it was $5,000. So you know, inflation.
$5,000. Nobody in this town can say they flip knives for $5,000. That's awesome.
Is there any aspect of the performance that we're not aware of? Like, I think when, like, the Polynesian performance, the fire dancing, the hula, I don't even know, this is not obviously the term for it, like the fast hula, I don't even know what to call it. Yeah. And so
I just make the noise.
Is there anything else we're not familiar with, and where does that even come from?
Yeah, a lot of here's another thing that a lot of people will learn in our show is that you'll see the similarities between all the dances. A lot of people think the fast drumming dances when the girls come out and shake really, really fast is from Hawaii, but it's actually from Tahiti.
Okay.
The French Polynesians, they do the fast hip shaking dances. We call that the tamurei. But hula is the same version of that, but hula is more slower. Hula is more of the, when you think of the steel guitar and the swing palms, like that. It's more of the slower version of the dance. It's more about the storytelling with the hands. But in Tahiti, the storytelling's all with the hips, the fast hip shaking hips, and the hands are just the extension of what they're doing. So that's something that I like to share with you.
It's
crazy, right?
I'm a geek for all this kind of stuff. Like, sorry, but this is the type of show that I get, like, I don't know if it's my age, you can call me a nerd or whatever, but I'll sit there and watch people dance and be like, okay, I know you're thinking that this is from Hawaii. It's not. It's from Tahiti. And I'm like, oh my God, he's blowing my mind with stuff I didn't know.
Is the coconut bra an actual thing that
he's obsessed with the coconut bra. Can I ask you a serious question?
I don't want to be disrespectful either.
But he thought because we got to ask, we were asked, like non-coconut bra or coconut bra. And we sort of did discuss whether or not it was disrespectful to say coconut bra.
Yeah.
Is that an Americanized thing where we're like, make it sexier, put coconuts on them? Like, is that us? Or is that okay?
So the coconut bra and things like that, that's more of an Eastern Polynesian thing.
Okay, all right.
So they did that. If you look at all the old photos and things that were in the 1800s, you'll see that in Eastern Polynesia. That's like Hawaii, Tahiti, Cook Islands, all of that. In Western Polynesia, everything was covered up with the tapa cloth. The tapa cloth is the mat that is made from the trees, and they put it all together.
Okay.
But I think when the 60s and 50s came, when they made Hawaii more of a state and kind of
that era that I'm talking about,
it made it more of a sexual thing, but it really wasn't like that.
No.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And but that's
so we were right. We were right. Yeah, sort of right.
But that's what they promoted because it was best for marketing.
Yeah. Right.
And obviously they were right because it was so huge, like you said.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like name another style of dress that has its own air freshener that has sold over $1 billion. No, I'm serious. It's like literally, it's an iconic item that when you see a picture of a Volkswagen bus, when like there will forever be until the world is gone, a hula girl. It's just not. It's a thing. It's like Kleenex.
Yeah.
It's like for a tissue. It's like it's a stereotype that will last forever. Yeah, you're right. And then it's a Mad Men marketing thing. It's like the coconut bra. They love it.
Well,
crazy.
Again, if you want to hire Rex or Aloha Productions, alohaproductions.com.
And you guys do all kinds of different, whether it's music shows, whether it's hosting duties, dancing, a full spread of, if you want to make your whole backyard look, or your warehouse or your big corporate gathering look like an actual luau, that these are your guys.
Oh, I got one more question for you, and I think a lot of people don't, they've seen this, especially with the popularity of, like you mentioned, with how many Polynesian NFL players are out, and and I think people get familiar with the culture through NFL players that they like, and so with the I believe it's the haka. Where does that come from, and what are we witnessing when we see someone do it?
Yeah, the haka actually comes from the island of New Zealand.
Okay,
so the Maoris, that's the Polynesian people that live in New Zealand. The haka, a lot of people think of it as just as a war dance, but it's more than that. Of course, it's a war. Some hakas talk about war, but it's actually the message to give to someone. and a way to keep the culture alive and the identity of the Maori people. You know, the reason why they yell and scream like that is because that's the mana, that's the strength and power within them. And the only way to get those messages out is through your passion, through the heart, and through the warrior spirit that you have. You know, if you see Kamate done in the rugby games, you know, it's all about a man contemplating death. It's not about killing somebody, but it's the way we talk about things. It's the way we keep things alive. And the only way to express that fully is when you have your eyes open, is when you're in your strength, in your mode, you know, in your mana spirit.
It's another form of communication. Yeah, man.
Rex, if I saw you and like a dozen other Troy Polamalu's screaming at
like a dozen Rexes.
I would be terrified. I mean,
I would whatever message you were delivering to me, I would get it.
Yeah.
100% I would get it.
But it's all choreographed, right?
Choreographed, yeah. It's all passed down. You know, there's some new hakas that are being written today, but there's a lot of hakas that have been passed on from generations and generations that move by move, it all means something.
Can you look at a haka and then be like, that's not right?
Yeah.
Like, can you see something?
Yeah, there's some hakas that I've seen, like, you know, on, you know, in the modern era, I'm just like, you know what I mean? It's more than just screaming and yelling and hitting yourself. You got to really believe the words that you're saying.
Sure, it's got to be authentic.
Yeah.
That's what, that's the number one thing that Seth Petrozelli, who comes in here and does a lot of news on our show, he says the same thing about katas. Which you say hakas and then katas for in the Japanese, like for his karate, but like he says, it's like going through the motions is one thing. Anybody can memorize the movements, but you have to do them with intent, you know?
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, speaking of Seth, because Seth deals with this, I know we make a lot of jokes, but behind the scene with being respectful to the Japanese culture, because he's a white dude from here, you know? So like, let's say I want to be respectful to the Polynesian culture, but I want to learn how to do a haka. And if I just by doing it is disrespectful for some white guy from Orlando?
So you're out with your rugby guys and you're out playing in the Blue Jacket Park over here and you're doing rugby. And
Brad, and Chad are doing a haka.
Three guys doing a haka.
And we're in the park. Like let's say you.
That's a new podcast where three white dudes do a haka.
Yeah, me, Daniel, Tom, and Dan, Brad, and Chad are doing a haka in the.
Rex is judging.
Rex is just walking by with his family.
With his people dog. He's walking his dog.
I mean, do you look at it as disrespectful?
Do you jump off your bike and beat us to death with the bike?
or if we're doing it respectfully, are you glad that we're trying to respect the culture and be a part of it?
Yeah, I love it's the latter of that. You know, being respectful of what you're doing, you know, doing the research. And I also, like, if you're a non-Polynesian that wants to learn how to dance, that wants to learn this culture, be around them, you know, around,
participate,
know how they live and know how they walk and talk, because the way you know somebody and the better way to get to know somebody is to get to know their culture.
Absolutely,
and their art. So.
You're one of my favorite guests we've had. Really? Thank you, I'm serious, man. I love your energy. You're so laid back and cool, and you sort of exemplify, like, I drew you in my brain when you were coming here, and we got exactly my drawing.
Well, Rex, I'm looking forward to watching you perform on Saturday.
And we appreciate you taking the time to come in here and explain a lot of, like, tangent questions. I have a 1,000 more for you, but maybe we can ask those on the night of the performance, man. I'm so excited. It's going to be so fun.
Again, alohaproductions.com, and this Saturday is the BDM only appreciation party. So
not a BDM, tomandan.com/registration.
Yeah, and so if you do, register, send us an email. We'll send you the information of where the party's at, when it starts. It's free for you and a guest to come by, and we got a good group of people that are going to be there on Saturday. So, Rex, we appreciate it.
Thank you, man, for the time. We appreciate it.
Mahalo, family. Thank you all.
Mahalo.
And we will be right back. Welcome to A Corporate Tom and Tom and Dan. I'm Tom.
I am Dan. And let's get right into it, man.
Yep. He's on the line with us right now. Me and Daniel have personally wanted to talk to this gentleman for a long time.
A very long time. Some would say that the business acumen that him and his partner have inspired what we've done independently. He's going to be at Welcome to Rockville Music Festival, Daytona Beach International Speedway in Daytona on May 9th, 2024. On the line with us right now is Shaggy Two Dope from the Insane Clown Posse. What's going on, man?
What's going on, fellas?
So, Shaggy, I want to ask you, because I really do feel like a marketing professor from a university could do an entire lecture about ICP and their ability to market themselves. And what you guys have done throughout the years is really brilliant. And I'm wondering how deliberate that was. Were you cognizant of how good the marketing of what your band and ICP have done throughout the years? Or was it just you're doing it and then it ended up being great marketing?
Yeah, it's crazy because first you got to understand that all of us involved were like very early high school dropouts and and all that stuff. Nobody went to college, none of that. And we just the reason why we learned to sell and push so hard was because when we were local in Detroit, all the other bands and all the other rappers, everybody, they would always lie to us about the numbers that they were selling and the numbers about like the merchandise they were pushing. So that just always made us work 10 times harder. You know what I mean?
Sure,
and we didn't even know the whole time we were outselling everybody, but we thought we weren't selling shit compared to everybody else, but we were smoking everybody. And I think we just kept that same mentality once we went national, once we, started signing the labels and all that, because we're just so used to that same work ethic, And on top of that, we just always did things from a fan's perspective, you know what I mean? So it's like, well, what would I want to buy from somebody, and how would I want to see it? So
it's also surprising, too. It's interesting to hear that because I really didn't know your educational background at all, but I was always surprised at how you guys would pop up on the radar doing things before other people were doing them. Tom and I remember working in radio years and years ago where we'd pop on the internet and go to like y'all's website and see that you were doing streaming shows before people, you were integrating like wrestling before people, like you were doing like hybrid events, you were doing live events that were independently funded. Like how did you keep your, I guess, thumb on what was popular, or how were you able to pull people in that knew how to edit and stream before other people were doing it? Because it's really pretty amazing that you guys were sort of on a forefront.
Our whole thing since our beginning was not knowing how to do anything. You know what I'm saying? So everything has been like hands-on, finding the people that know how to do whatever specifically you need them to know how to do. So sometimes if we were doing something like back in the day when we were streaming before people had podcasts and all that, it's like we'd probably have like 5 people. One person will figure out how to get the broadcast out. One person will figure out the technical with the equipment. One person, you know what I'm saying? So we just find people and bring them together as a team and do it, And on top of that, we go broke doing it.
Right.
I mean, nothing was lucrative, so we basically did all the things that we just want to see, like as fans of other people, what we wanted to see them do, But because of the lack of, I guess, business and finance background.
Sure.
It's just like we just spend a lot of money on everything with no return on it,
Yeah.
But that's okay, because to me it's like I'm in a position where I'm comfortable. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So it's just like it's not about the money when you love what you do.
Shaggy, I'm curious because when speaking of branding and I know a handful of our own listeners that have Hatchet Men tattoo. My brother had a Hatchet Man tattoo, and so just
a global brand.
Just that icon was a great choice that people grabbed a hold of and used. And was that just happenstance, or did you look at how much thought was even put into that?
To the actual Hatchet Man logo?
Yeah.
Absolutely none. I actually drew that when we were sitting at a restaurant waiting for a studio session. I drew it basically on a napkin, like that old story, let's try this. Because originally, I thought of the design because there was a paper boy in my neighborhood, and we should call him the Mad Paper Boy because he was just out of his mind. He was like a heavy metal kid.
Okay.
And he'd just eat bugs and throw rocks through windows and shit on his route and all that. And so we started calling the Mad Paperboy. So originally, we called it Mad Paperboy Records, and so I kind of modeled it off of him. That's why the hair is all ratted out, because that's how his hair looked.
Yeah.
But then then through whatever process, we was like, okay, Psychopathic Records. So we kept that, put a meat cleaver, which for some reason got called a hatchet eventually, in his hand, and
But it's all.
It was a drawing on a napkin that then got drawn on a poster board that then got sent to put on the back of cassettes when we were pressing them. You know?
Yeah, it's that simple. Like it's funny to think that you did it. It was organic. Has there ever been anything you guys have tried maybe to push too hard and you knew it wasn't authentic and you didn't do it, or like because it does seem like you guys choose things on just like it's got to be organic.
Yes, there has been. You know, the funny thing is, and I think this happens with a lot of people, is when you, well, maybe not so much in the pop world, but when you try to make a radio hit or a radio song, like for us, it just turns out horrible. You know what I mean?
Sure.
On our very first full-length record, Carnival of Carnage, we did this song that because we didn't know anything from anything when we were back then. So we were like, okay, we're going to try to make a radio song. And so basically we just didn't curse in it. We thought that was a radio song. The song was called Guts on the Ceiling. You know, I'm sure they wouldn't have played that regardless. You know, it was about a guy shooting his head and splattering his guts all over the ceiling.
Yeah.
So, regardless, that wasn't going to make it on no radio. But, we just were like, no cussing in it. It'll get played. But there's been a couple things like that. Like, there was this thing called Chronicles of a Dark Carnival. This one production company made... I think it ran on the Sci-Fi Channel, or they're shooting for it or something. But it was just like little stories that they filmed from like our songs and stuff. And they made the little short stories, kind of like Tales from the Dark Side or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just horrible. You know what I mean? We were just like, get that out of here. You know, because it was like.
You got to fail, though, right? Like, you got to try stuff, and if you don't like it...
He's the best teacher, man.
Yeah, you just laugh at it and move on. Yeah, I get it.
Well, sometimes you cry at it. We've had in our career, we've had, I don't know how the we did it, man. It's like we had blow after blow that would probably end most people's careers, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're just stuff that would happen to us, and instead of just giving up, though, we're just like, you just can't stop, like the whole FBI thing. That's why people don't have hatchet mans in their cars and stuff like that no more, because you get considered a gang member if you have that stuff. That's why Hot Topics and Spencer's dropped our immediately as soon as that stuff came up, because if that insignia now to a lot of police in America means that you're in a gang, you know what I'm saying? And so
I did not know that. Tom told me that yesterday. Yeah. He showed me and we were gonna load up the documentary. There's a documentary you can watch about that, right?
Called The United States of Insanity, and it came out in 2021. And can you speak about that for a minute? Because I remember when this all came out, and I remember seeing the media about it, and then you guys, being kind of going back and saying, what the, why are you classifying Juggalos as a gang? And then that became a media story that, the Juggalos are now classified as a gang from the FBI. So how much did that affect you guys?
It affected us greatly. It first came out in 2011. It was like the National Gang Assessment List or something like that. And it was like the top 10 gangs, like, Bloods, Crips, MS-13, Aryan Brotherhood, whatever, all the prison gangs, all that. Juggalos were on it. And it was just like, what the f***? So at first, when it first came out in 2011, we were like, oh, that's kind of badass.
Right.
But then the fallout started happening, all the repercussions. When you're on it, when you're on a gang list like that, and let's say all the charges are trumped up. You know what I'm saying? You get pinched with weed, all of a sudden it's a gang member with weed. So, you get charged harder. People were getting denied into the armed services. People were losing custody fights with their kids simply because they had a hatchet man tattoo, because they were considered gang members and not fit parents, even though... And then, you got like little kids that live in the middle of Grassland, Missouri, you know what I'm saying, who go to the mall to buy an ICP shirt from Hot Topics because there's no other outlets anywhere within a 1 billion-mile radius of their house. And let's say their mom's speeding on the way home, they get pulled over, this kid's wearing a shirt, he's treated as a gang member. You know what I'm saying? Little Jimmy Beaver from Grasslands, Iowa. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know him.
Is now in the same boat as the MS-13 gang member who's murdered people. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
Sounds like a huge waste of money and funds.
Did you find
all these major outlets dropped all of our shit? You know what I'm saying? And that was whatever, you know what I'm saying? But what really got us was I hate to say discrimination, like it's like some big racial thing from back in the day, but like the profiling and all that. You know what I'm saying? It's like no shit. People were getting f***ed up legally, you know what I'm saying, for for being a juggalo. And there, basically, we were sitting back, and there was nothing that we could do about it. So we were like, all right, this. We're going to organize a march on Washington. So we actually did a show on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial in front of that pool thing in the National Mall or whatever it's called.
The reflection.
We did a show right there, and then we marched. Well, we marched, then did a show. So I don't know what the turnout was, but it was pretty great. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of came out, and we did the whole march thing. You know, and you know, I don't know. It wasn't like necessary to get put off it because we ended up trying to sue them to get our name off of there. You know what I'm saying? We had all these organizations working for us for free and shit, but I mean we were dumping millions into it. You know what I'm saying? And we ended up getting thrown out of court after like I don't even know how many years. But so basically they just don't come out with it no more. That gang assessment list. They just stopped coming out with it, but they never went back and said, "Our bad, you weren't supposed to be on there," or never apologized or nothing for it. They just left it where it was at. You know what I'm saying? So now, and the whole reason for doing that is like these little towns with police forces that are like underfunded. They can now say that they have juggalos in their town, and that's a gang, and they get extra funding and extra money to combat their gang problems. So they buy their new cars and their new billy clubs or whatever they need to buy. You know, so it's a big money thing too. You know what I'm saying?
I never thought about that, but yeah, you could prop up your funding that way by saying you have a high concentration.
Yeah,
of these guys.
it just that's the story of our career, though. If there's any like thing that can happen, it always happens to us. You know what I'm saying? But that makes it stronger. So we're like, whatever, man. You know?
Well, I was going to ask you, Shaggy, because it as much of a pain in the ass as that was for you guys and the amount of money you spent to try to fight it, some part of you must have thought, like, man, we got to the point, we got so popular and so big, and there's
independently. I think it's important that you have to stress independently.
And we've got such engaged followers that the FBI put our listeners on the goddamn top gang list in the entire country.
You know what? I think you are like the first person to ever like look at it that way, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, you're right, you know what I'm saying? But like it's like all the repercussions from it were so outweighing like that I never even thought about it like that, you know what I'm saying?
It's also
I remember
cool
back
though.
In the day, I remember back in the day NWA, the rap group NWA got a letter from the FBI for the police. They got a letter from it saying don't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, we're like, God damn, man, we got a letter. They came after our fan base, you know?
Your fan base are put into jail and have extra charges because of you.
But it's also a little trolly that you guys, I think, get the last laugh in that the people they're trying to jail, you know, Jimmy Beaver that he was talking about, dressed like a clown. Which I think, I like that. I like that. It's ultimate troll. Ultimate troll. Clown style.
So, Shaggy, I'm curious too, and I've always wanted to ask you this. How much have you affected the company Faygo?
That's a great question.
Man, so, man, it's even hard to put into words. You know what I'm saying? We have got them sales coast to coast, like insane. It's in places that it would have been in. It's like, well, even when we come to town, like stores that never even have it, they just order it out of state from there. All that, you know what I'm saying? And we get absolutely no acknowledgement from them whatsoever. If we do get acknowledgement, it's we don't associate with them. That's what they say. They say that our product is for family consumption, and that's what we'll say. That's it.
That's the most ridiculous.
We don't get a discount. We don't get nothing. We don't get.
Oh man, you'd have your own flavor. If I owned that thing, you'd have a flavor. You'd have a whole. You'd have. Oh my god.
I take that back. We do get a discount because we buy it in such big bulk when we go on the road that we get like the normal store discount for buying such a massive amount.
That's crazy, man.
I mean, because
they for whatever reason they don't want to be associated with us whatsoever.
Which is great because Shaggy, I remember when I was in 8th and 9th grade, I remember listening to you guys and being like, I grew up in Miami and then have Faygo in Miami.
No,
and then
we didn't have it in DeLand.
I was like, where can I get Faygo? I remember people telling you,
I busted my ass to get Faygo.
They sell it in Georgia. Like people were trying to find find Fago because of you guys. And I'm like, this must have been an insane, lucrative
and you know what? You can find it in a lot of those places now. You know what I'm saying? Because of all the requests. It's insane, you know?
Yeah,
but they're just like, nah, they don't exist. So they did nothing for us.
You probably made them millions of dollars. Like, 30 years?
There's no doubt.
The thing is, we're well aware of that, but unfortunately, you know, they whatever.
I know.
Shaggy,
they won't have it.
Shaggy, I just want one last question because Tom and I were obsessed with the Gathering of the Juggalos. The original, the first one, was that in 2000?
Either 99 or 2000. I forget which one.
So
I want to say 99, but I might be wrong.
How big has it gotten? Because, quickly, because I know we're running out of time, but it started a couple thousand, 5,000, 10,000?
It started with a few thousand. Yeah, it was actually at a convention center, and we did all the shows and all that in the parking lot with a stage that was built. I mean, it's just got to the point now where it's like a whole festival, I guess, you know what I'm saying, where it runs 24 hours, you know what I'm saying, no matter what time of the day or night.
It has a map. It has a effing map, dude.
Yeah,
it's got a...
maps. There's events everywhere.
It's awesome.
I don't know what the total was last year, but it's thousands upon thousands of people, and it's the most diverse, musically, it's the most diverse that I've ever heard of, you know what I'm saying? Everything from Bobby Brown to Mushroom Head to us to, I mean, you name it, we've had it. And then we got wrestling. We've had every name in wrestling there is. It's insane. It's like organized insanity.
Well, I was going to ask you about that because you've had huge acts,
mega acts,
at the Gathering of the
biggest
Juggalos
of all genres.
And is it hard sometimes because some acts are standoffish or playing the Gathering? Do some people they just want to get in front of your super engaged audience?
Because, here goes the thing. It's a tough crowd to play in front of if you don't know who you're playing in front of. You know what I'm saying? Some people will get out there and whatever, it's close, it's been close to Columbus in the last few years. You know what I'm saying? So people get out there and like, yo, what up, Columbus? They're gonna get thrown out and get booed off. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not Columbus, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's such a small part of people that may even be there. And there's just certain things, if you don't understand, when people are chanting family, people don't know what that is, and they get offended by, what the this family shit is.
Right.
And stuff like that. It's just, I won't call them protocols, but there's just, just kind of look into what you're getting into if you're playing there, and it's not a problem because people show so much love on the other spectrum of it that it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? If you just go out there and understand who you're playing to, you'll get accepted and more will love you, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I love it, man.
I got one last question for you, Shaggy, and I wonder if you ever thought about this, because I have a lot. Ever since, it's funny, me and Daniel heard you on Adam Carolla.
Yeah.
I mean, must have been more than 10 years
ago.
15
years ago.
I would say that was a while ago.
Yeah. But
I was inspired when you guys are talking about the van with the tapes, and you're just pushing your music.
Yeah, and then I realized, man, these guys are straight up hustlers.
They work hard. They work hard.
And they built this amazing following, and so I'm curious, do you think you'd have the same success if there was social media and the internet when you guys started? Because I remember...
we think about that a lot because, we came up when that didn't exist, you know what I'm saying? So it was all print-based, you know what I'm saying? You had to print up samplers. You had to make flyers. You had to get them in hands. So you had to go out and physically do things, you know what I'm saying? You had to drive to different cities in promotional vans and hit the high schools and hit the clubs and press up as many as you needed, you know what I'm saying, which all that takes money and blah, 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 and put them under windshields of car, on the windshield wipers, amusement parks everywhere, you know what I'm saying? And it's not like that today. You know what I'm saying? Now you just click a button, you know what I'm saying? You can make the flyer on your phone, you can make a video on your phone. So it's hard to say. I mean, I wouldn't actually know how to start from scratch nowadays, because it's so the work ethic is so different now than it was then, you know what I'm saying? I think it can be easier if you know what you're doing with the because you just got instant access to everybody. Back in the day, you had to press something up. You had to get it to a distributor. You had to do consignment and get in the stores.
Yeah.
Or nobody hear you. You You couldn't just throw it up on iTunes, you know what I'm saying, or Spotify. You couldn't do, there's no format like that. So, you know, you have potential to nowadays for more ears to hear it instantly, as long as you, like, attach it to, like, something visual or something that people want to see, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know what I'm saying? So that way they're like, oh, what's this? Let me check this out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
so,
and there's also the mystery, because I remember when I was younger that I couldn't find information about you guys because there was no internet.
I think it made it better.
So when the Great Malenko came out, it was like this legend of like, oh, there's coming out with the series, and they're like, who are these guys in the makeup? And like no one knew it, and the mystery almost
added to it.
It added to it because you couldn't look it up on the internet. So
you can't do that nowadays, you know, because we were just talking about this yesterday. Me and one of my boys. He's like, man, you should go back to, like, you know, not letting people take pictures and all that shit. I'm like, dog, there's already so many on the internet. You can't do that no more, you know. The one cool thing is, though, because like you said with the whole, like, because we were streaming back in the day. We didn't know what podcasts were and all that, you know what I'm saying? If we would have kept going with that, you know, till nowadays, who knows where that would have been, you know what I'm saying? Because I stream like crazy now. I got podcasts, the Shaggy shows, they put everything on it. But I'm just wondering, like, where it would be at if I would have kept consistently doing it from back in the day till now. You know what I mean?
Oh, there's no telling. I mean, like, you guys are like early 2000s, the first person I saw that were really giving videos for your merch. I remember this video I stumbled upon that was almost like you guys were doing like a QVC or like a home shopping network. And you're just screwing around and being funny and showing all your new merchandise, and it was working. There were people live like buying all the stuff, and I was like, these guys like are low key geniuses. Like,
it was vlogging before vlogging was a thing.
Yeah. I remember the video. It was years and years and years ago, and I told Tom about it. I was like, they were doing a live stream. They had the full outfits on, and they're showing all their merch and their CDs and all the stuff they're selling. And now it was before it was even like a thing, man. But Shaggy,
we used to just spoof like dumbass like infomercials and shit.
It's funny though. It works, man. It works. Hey, we can't wait to see you at Welcome to Rockville in Daytona. Thank you so much for the time today. Safe travels. I appreciate you rearranging to make it today, and please thank your entire team for doing this. It means a lot to us, man.
Of course, man. I appreciate it, and we're looking forward to playing Rockville like crazy, man. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, man. Awesome. Well, take care of yourself, and we hope to talk to you again sometime soon.
All right, thank you for your time, fellas.
All right, man. Take care.
See ya.
A very nice man.
Yeah. Shaggy Too Dope from ICP.
Yeah. Somebody called him Shaggy Too Fresh in the chat room, and I like that. Very nice man.
Yeah, like if you just look what they were able to do outside mainstream media, because that's where they had to operate outside.
It's easy to sit back and make fun. Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
And just shelve that for a second, and
we've done,
indulge Tom and I for a second as small business owners. If you look at these guys and see what they've done independently with entertainment,
without the backing of giant corporations.
Yeah, you have to. They do it their way. They say everything they want to say.
Yeah.
You know, like it's insane. It's an insane tale.
Yeah, I mean...
it's a wonderful, insane business story. It's a crazy business story.
It is.
Sometimes I sit and I talk to you about what we're doing here, and I don't understand it. And then I look at what they're doing, and I know they feel the same way. Like, I think a lot of small business owners would go and look at... I don't care about the music. Take that aside, whatever. Yeah. You just look at their business and what they've done and how hard they work.
Yeah.
Just look at that.
Look, the engagement their audience has is insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, their audience...
I wonder what that
they'll
is.
They'll spend hours painting their face.
What is that? Without making fun of it, what is that?
Well, I read something, and I've seen there's been other documentaries that have referenced ICP and stuff, and like they really tapped into basically the forgotten youth or the forgotten people of America. The people, I mean,
discuss those.
Politically, there's people that have tapped into this too, and you know what I'm saying?
There's no difference.
And then, and then you have like, all right, I'm not represented, and ICP is representing me.
The chat room's reminding me of something
like,
hilarious.
I'm a poor POS, and I'm just like them. And then they're like, you're just like me. And then now, they've gotten stinking rich off it. If you start looking up just, going back to the business, they've done well. But they really did stay true, and they never, they just did it their own way, and it was pretty impressive.
I was listening to Shaggy's, it's not my thing. It's great, but it's not my thing. I was listening to his newest album this morning, and it's the formula. It's exactly the same stuff, and it's fine. If you like that, it's great. It's your thing. Kupo DJ Access in the chat room says, and I forgot about this, says Howard Stern would flip out when they were on the show because they would curse so much. I remember that. Yeah, he would always get so mad.
I forgot about Daniel.
I didn't even think about that.
Then I was like,
I figured it out. I do blame you though for this one because when you were talking to him and everything, and you're like, Tom and Dan, the podcast, and I'm like, oh no, he said podcast.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's what did it. It doesn't matter. I'll cut it all out.
And he sounded like he was free flowing, so I didn't want to.
I enjoyed it. I wouldn't gonna say anything to him.
Yeah. So
I gotta send this to AI.
Anyway, I hope let's just air this unedited. And then
and I could just say I tried.
Maybe he's already not friendly with the government, so maybe the FCC will
Tom and Dan had a gang member on their show who was cursed crazy.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Corporate Time.